Chapter 1058. Countless jade discs floated in the air. As far as the eye could see, it was densely packed with jade discs. Every single one of them seemed to be made of polished white jade. They were as smooth as a mirror as they floated vertically in the air. There was no end in sight. It was unknown how many of them there were. This was the all-jade disc. It was very different from what they had imagined. Lu Ming had imagined that the all-jade disc would be a huge jade disc. He didn't expect there to be so many of them. This is the all-jade disc. You can comprehend it on your own, but you can't destroy it. Otherwise, the World Academy won't let you off the hook. The last sentence of the old man who led the way made everyone's heart skip a beat. Everyone nodded. They didn't dare. Well, you see it. In front of each jade disc, there are one or several jade platforms. You can only comprehend it if you sit cross-legged on the jade platforms. The old man introduced. So that's what the jade platforms are for. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. A few jade platforms were suspended in front of each jade wall. Lu Ming had seen them long ago. It turned out that they were used for comprehension. This meant that each jade disc could only be comprehended by a few people at most. The jade platforms were very small and could only accommodate one person at a time. Well, you can comprehend it on your own. The old man nodded and left with the other 8. Whoosh! Whoosh! As soon as the old man left, some people flew forward to find the jade discs. Lu Ming looked around and saw many familiar faces. Jing Kongling, Chu Kuang, Zhang Wenjing, and Hai Ziming from Floating Mountain were among them. In addition, Sandalwood Fairy, Een Bupo from Sky Eagle Castle, Sanguinarum from Cold Blood Hall, other talents from Cold Blood Hall, and Junyu from Demonic Mountain were among them. Lu Ming also saw familiar faces from Eastern Wilderness. Shui, Jenny, Shizhan, Ao2, and Feng Xian. Di Shen. Suddenly, Lu Ming's gaze shifted and he saw the Emperor God. Beside him was Dongfang Yu. It seems that all the top talents from Eastern Wilderness are here. Lu Ming pondered for a moment before flying forward. Lu Ming went to the jade wall at the very front and carefully examined it. Suddenly, a tyrannical saber intent spread out, causing his expression to change slightly. In front of this jade wall, there was only a jade platform. At this moment, there was already a young man sitting cross-legged on it. Lu Ming continued to move forward. He discovered that each piece of jade gave off a completely different feeling. It's really strange. There are artistic conceptions, and it seems like there are absolute arts as well. However, they are extremely mysterious. If you want to gain anything from them, it will depend on your comprehension ability and luck. Lu Ming strolled around casually. Many people had already found their targets and were sitting cross-legged on the jade platform. Lu Ming, the arrangement of these jade discs is very strange. In my opinion, there must be a great secret. On his shoulder, Dandan transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Big secret? What secret? What did you see? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. There were many rumors about the Vientiane jade disc in the outside world. But the most recognized rumor was that the Vientiane corn was connected to a mysterious place that contained divine treasures. The ancient World Academy could open it, but that method was lost later on. The World Academy had not opened it for many years. It was said that that place was very strange. In ancient times, supreme experts would often enter seclusion and cultivate there, leaving behind many relics and cave abodes of experts. This was very tempting, but unfortunately, they could not enter later on. I don't know. I can't figure it out in a short time. I need time, Dandan said. He jumped down from Lu Ming's shoulder and walked around alone. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him and looked for the jade discs alone. Soon, Lu Ming came in front of a jade wall. Suddenly, he vaguely heard a dragon's roar, and a true dragon pounced at him. This is it. There was only a jade platform in front of this jade wall. No one had come yet. Lu Ming flew up, sat cross-legged on the jade platform, and closed his eyes to comprehend. Roar! The dragon's roar rang out. Lu Ming seemed to see a true dragon walking in the void. The dragon's aura was vast and mighty, causing the void to collapse and the earth to sink. This, it seems like every move contains supreme battle strength. Is this a true dragon battle technique? No, it doesn't seem like it. Lu Ming's mind raced. He felt that every move of the true dragon was a battle technique, but it also seemed like it was not. It was hard to grasp. Lu Ming tried to comprehend it carefully, but in the end he gained nothing. No, why should I comprehend any battle technique from it? I can compare it with my 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he began to comprehend. In this way, he indeed felt that he had benefited a lot. His comprehension of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps increased rapidly. He had already cultivated the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps to the 7th step. At this step, it was even more difficult to cultivate. Every step was very difficult. Without luck, he might not be able to cultivate it in his lifetime. Every bit of improvement was rare and precious. Lu Ming sat cross-legged for 3 days. When he felt that he could not gain anything more, he got up and left to look for the next piece. In the sky, in the huge white jade palace, a few elders were discussing something. "Sect Master, is this really going to work?" One of them asked. "This is the only way. The sacred mansion has not been opened for many years. This time, with the arrival of the great era and the gathering of prodigies, everyone has great opportunities. Perhaps this is a chance. Perhaps someone can open the sacred mansion's secret realm." A white-haired elder with a sage-like demeanor said. "I hope so." The others sighed. Lu Ming looked at a few more jade discs, but none of them were suitable for him. After looking at more than a dozen jade discs, Lu Ming finally found a suitable one. This jade disc still had dragon roars coming out. Lu Ming sat cross-legged on the jade platform. Just like the previous jade discs, there were true dragons rolling in the void. However, what was different this time was that there were 2 true dragons. The 2 true dragons were fighting fiercely, their roars shaking the heavens. This is a true dragon battle skill. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The 2 true dragons clawed at each other. Dragon might lashed out as the dragons soared into the sky. Every move had destructive power. This was clearly a powerful true dragon battle skill. This battle skill is comparable to a divine battle skill. It will be very useful to me. Lu Ming was excited. After he used bloodline fusion to transform into 9 dragons, he usually only used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping step and the hell-suppressing heaven skill. Other than that, the 9 dragons relied on brute force to fight and lacked killing moves. If he had this true dragon battle skill, he would definitely be stronger when he transformed into 9 dragons. Lu Ming carefully observed the battle between the 2 true dragons. He sat there for 10 days. Lu Ming had been watching the battle between the 2 true dragons all the time. His understanding of the true dragon's combat skills was already quite good. "Scram, this jade disc is mine." Suddenly, a cold shout was heard, causing many people to involuntarily turn their heads to look. Shui Jiani and Huang Kuei. Lu Ming's heart jumped. Shui Jiani was sitting cross-legged in front of a jade disc. Huang Kuei coldly looked at Shui Jiani. It was Huang Kuei who told Shui Jiani to scram. Shui Jiani frowned and said, "Brother, I was the one who got here first." "So what if you came first? You're just a country bumpkin from the eastern wilderness. What right do you have to comprehend the myriad jade discs? Scram." Chapter 1059. Huang Kuei said coldly. His eyes were cold and filled with disdain. He looked like a young master from a big city looking at a bumpkin from the countryside. Shui Jiani's face darkened. He had his pride. Before the Battle of Providence, he was ranked 2nd on the list of top 1,000 talents, second only to the Emperor God. No one in the eastern wilderness dared to talk to him like that. "Huang, Kuei actually told him to get lost and said that he was not qualified to comprehend here. The arrogant Xue Jinni was furious. What's with that look? Bumpkin, do you want to die? Huang Kuei scolded. Let's see if you have what it takes to get this jade disc. Xue Jinni said coldly. What do you mean by that? Do you want to challenge me? Huang Kuei said. That's right. The blood sword Dao was so arrogant, yet he was actually being looked down upon like this. He couldn't take it. He wanted everyone to know his strength. Ha ha ha. Since you want to be humiliated, I'll fulfill your wish. Let's go out and fight. Huang Kuei laughed heartily as his figure soared into the sky. He flew out of the all appearances Jade Walls area and arrived in the sky not far away. Xue Jianyi's figure moved and also rushed into the sky, arriving in front of Huang Kuei. The two of them stood in the air. Interesting. That guy seems to be from the eastern wilderness. There's no expert in that barren land. He's just asking to be humiliated by challenging Huang Kuei. Let's go and see. Many people smiled and flew into the sky to watch from afar. Many people directly raised their heads to look at the Vientiane Jade Wall. The eastern wilderness has always been the weakest of the 5 domains. There are almost no experts there. The so-called talents in the eastern wilderness are all ignorant. They think that they're invincible just because they're the best in the eastern wilderness. They don't know that there's always someone stronger. That's right. Not long ago, a flood dragon from the eastern wilderness was also very arrogant, but he was completely defeated by Song Fei from the Sky Martial Sword Sect. He almost became a mount. Ha, is that so? Ao, Tu, Feng Xian, and even Di Xin and Dongfang Yu frowned when they heard the disdainful whispers from the crowd. At this moment, Huang Kuei and Xue Jinni's bodies were covered in blood-red light. Both of them had cultivated blood essence. Blood essence? You're just showing off in front of an expert. Huang Kuei sneered. Xue Jinni unsheathed. Clang! A blood-red battle sword flew out from between Blood Sword's eyebrows. As it flew out, it grew to 10 meters long. As it grew, it split into 2, then 4, and finally 16 blood-red battle swords that danced around Blood Sword. Kill! Blood Sword yelled. He formed a sword finger and waved it. The 16 swords turned into 16 blood-red sword lights and stabbed toward Huang Kuei. As the 16 swords danced in the air, they erupted with boundless sword qi. 16 blood-red swords, wrapped in boundless sword qi, blasted toward Huang Kuei. Xue Jinni's battle power was more than 10 times stronger than when he was in the Battle of Providence. His cultivation had reached perfection in spirit embryo, and his conception of blood and sword had become one. As his sword qi swept past, terrifying marks were left in the space. Blood flame, Emperor's claw. Seeing this, Huang Kuei did not dare to be careless. As the blood-red light spread out, he continued to attack with his claws. In an instant, he had attacked hundreds of times. Huang Kuei attacked hundreds of times, and the boundless blood-red claw lights flooded toward Xue Jinni. Every claw light was terrifyingly sharp and gave off a scorching aura. It had the power to burn and corrode. Huang Kuei's cultivation was also at perfection. Pung! 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 The blood-red claw lights and the sword qi clashed and the air trembled. Blood light rushed into the sky and the sword qi surged. The blood-red claw lights and the sword qi cancelled each other out, and they were evenly matched. Huang Kuei's face was ugly and gloomy. He couldn't even take down a country bumpkin from Eastern Desolation, which made him feel embarrassed. Kill! Bloodthirsty realm! Huang Kuei yelled and used bloodthirsty great art. A blood-red light shrouded Xue Jinni. Being shrouded by bloodthirsty great art, Xue Jinni's face changed. He felt the blood in his body boiling, and a powerful force was pulling at his blood. Swoosh! Xue Jinni hurriedly retreated, wanting to leave the range of bloodthirsty great art. However, Huang Kuei held him tightly, and Xue Jinny couldn't escape from Huang Kuei's attacks. Helpless, Xue Jinny could only execute bloodline fusion and transform into a blood-red battlesword. However, Huang Kuei also executed bloodline fusion and transformed into a blood-red claw. The blood claw and the blood sword clashed, and Xue Jinny flew back rapidly. Under the influence of bloodthirsty great art, Xue Jinny was at a disadvantage. Pung! 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 After continuous clashes, Huang Kuei gradually gained the upper hand and suppressed Xue Jinny. After dozens of moves, the blood-red battle sword crumbled, and Xue Jinny spat out large mouthfuls of blood. His face was pale. Xue Jinny was defeated and wasn't Huang Kuei's match. The blood claw flashed and transformed back into Huang Kuei. He looked at Xue Jinny with disdain and sneered. I said that a country bumpkin like you isn't qualified to cultivate in myriad jade wall. Xue Jinny's face darkened, but he didn't say anything. He had lost. What did a loser have to say? I heard that you used to be ranked second on the list of top 1,000 talents in the Eastern Barren Territory. It seems that the Eastern Barren Territory is really weak. If the second place is so weak, then the first place can't be any better. I heard that the first place is called Dishin. I guess he must be here today. Tell him to come out, and I'll take care of him today. Then you people from the Eastern Barren Territory can pack up and go back to the Eastern Barren Territory. Huang Kuei was incomparably arrogant. He wanted to trample on the people of the Eastern Barren Territory today to make himself more famous. Are you looking for me? A cold voice sounded, and a figure stepped out. Lu Ming's eyes moved. It was Dishin. Huang Kuei looked at Dishin and said, "You're Dishin." "That's right." Dishin nodded calmly. "You came at the right time. Come, I'll take care of you too." Huang Kuei sneered. Clang! As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying sword power rose from Dishin's body. A mighty sword chi was as tall as the sky and exuded supreme pressure. Huang Kuei's expression changed drastically, and he broke out in cold sweat. "Spiritual God, you're a spiritual god," Huang Kuei shouted in horror. Clang! A sword cry resounded as the sword chi slashed toward Huang Kuei. Huang Kuei retreated in horror. At the same time, he performed bloodline fusion and used all his strength to block the attack. But it was in vain. The sword chi slashed and the blood claw exploded. Huang Kuei's body smashed into the ground below like a cannonball, creating a huge pit. Huang Kuei lay in the pit and kept coughing up blood. The crowd fell silent, and then they burst into an uproar. "This person is so strong. He defeated Huang Kuei in one move. He's a spiritual god. I didn't expect there to be such a genius in the Eastern Barren Territory. His name is Dishin. Before the Battle of Providence, he was ranked first on the list of top 1,000 talents. Later, he was defeated by someone called Lu Ming in the Battle of Providence. Now he's ranked second. What? There's a stronger genius in the Eastern Barren Territory?" Chapter 1060. Dishin did not even look at Huang Kuei as he turned around and was about to head for the Jade Annulus. "You think you can leave after beating up someone from Cold Blood Hall?" A cold voice rang out as a blood-robed youth stepped out and blocked Dishin's path. "It's Sanguinarum!" Someone exclaimed. "Sanguinarum is going to make a move." Even more people's eyes were burning with passion. Some time ago, they had heard that Sanguinarum had entered the spiritual god realm, while Dishin was also at the spiritual god realm. The two spiritual god realm geniuses were about to make a move, which made many people's eyes light up. For Dishin to be able to break through to the spiritual god realm at his age, he was definitely a second-class genius. It was rare to see two second-class geniuses make a move. You want to make a move? Then let's do it. I also want to see how outstanding the Central Continent geniuses are. Dishin said calmly, but his tone was full of confidence. Now that he had made a major breakthrough in the space will, he was confident that he was not weaker than anyone. Even if he faced Lu Ming again, he was 100% confident that he could defeat Lu Ming. Then I'll fulfill your wish. Sanguinarum's eyes were cold as his body emitted a shocking blood-red light. Whoosh! 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 At this moment, many figures appeared in the sky. All of them were giants among men. Jing Kongling, Sandalwood Fairy, Junyu, Een Bupo, Kong Exen. Some people recognized that they were all second-class geniuses. There were more than 10 of them. This made people's hearts tremble. Apart from the Battle of Providence, this was the gathering of the second-class geniuses. Obviously, the battle between Sanguinarum and Di-Shin had attracted them. Boom! Boom! Sanguinarum and Di-Shin released a terrifying aura at the same time. A saber radiance shot up into the sky from Sanguinarum's body, while a sword radiance shot out from Di-Shin's body. The saber radiance and sword radiance clashed, and their power was extremely terrifying. Clang! The sword radiance and saber radiance met in the air, and an earth-shattering explosion erupted. At this moment, Sanguinarum and Di-Shin moved at the same time. Blood gathering, heavenly saber, Big Dipper Emperor's sword. As soon as they made their move, both of them executed low-grade, divine, rank martial skills. At their level, there was no need for probing anymore. Every move they made was a killing move, and they had to carry out an incomparably terrifying killing move. Boom! The saber and the sword collided. Saber light and sword chi overflowed, cutting the space in half. One side was the saber world, and the other side was the sword world. The two of them retreated at the same time before colliding again. Boom! 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 In just a few breaths, the two of them had already exchanged dozens of blows. Spatial cracks were constantly being torn apart in the sky. The deep spatial cracks seemed to be able to suck in one's mind. It was incomparably terrifying. Many people kept retreating, not daring to stand too close, because their combat strength was too strong and it far surpassed an ordinary first-level spirit god. Even the energy that leaked out from their bodies was capable of killing an ordinary first-level spirit god. One could only imagine how terrifying it was. There were only a dozen or so people who could stand at the front to watch the battle. They were all at the same level as Sanguinarum. The Emperor God's combat strength has made a major breakthrough. It's even more unfathomable now. Lu Ming did not fly up into the sky. Instead, he sat cross-legged on the jade platform in front of the jade wall and looked up. He felt that the Emperor God had not used his full strength at all. Bloodthirsty realm. Sanguinarum executed the bloodthirsty realm, but it was useless. It was split apart by the Emperor God's sword. Sanguinarum's face turned solemn. He was starting to lose confidence in the battle. How can he be so strong? The Emperor God is only ranked second in the Eastern Wilderness. How can there be such an expert in the Eastern Wilderness? Sanguinarum's mind raced. Finally, he executed the bloodline fusion and turned into a blood-red bat. After executing the bloodline fusion, Sanguinarum let out a cry and released a terrifying sound wave attack. At the same time, it flapped its wings and charged towards the Emperor God like a blood-red lightning bolt. However, the Emperor God stood there motionless. You're not dodging? Go to hell. Sanguinarum's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he charged towards the Emperor God. However, when he reached the Emperor God, he felt that something was amiss. It was just an illusion. At this moment, the Emperor God suddenly appeared behind Sanguinarum and slashed out with his sword. This is space essence? Many people's pupils contracted rapidly. They were in disbelief. Oh no! Sanguinarum sensed danger and flapped his wings to dodge the attack. Whoosh! 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 At this moment, the Emperor God stepped in the air and his body flashed in and out of the air. He was extremely fast and charged toward Sanguinarum. Instant step. However, compared to the Battle of Providence, the Emperor God's instant step was much stronger. He was extremely fast and could move a few miles in a flash. It was impossible to catch him. Space essence. It's really the space essence. This time, even more people saw it, and some people cried out in alarm. Gosh, it's really the space essence. How is this possible? Someone in the eastern wilderness has comprehended the space essence. Unbelievable. Yang Patian, one of the top 5 youths, has comprehended the space essence. I didn't expect someone in the eastern wilderness to have comprehended the space essence as well. Waves of exclamations and cries of disbelief could be heard from all around. Space and time were king. The space essence was too strong. It was not just a saying. Even Jing Kongling and the other second-class prodigies looked solemn. In their hearts, the Emperor God was an extremely terrifying opponent. Space essence. It's the space essence. Then I'll break your space essence. Sanguinarum shouted. The blood-winged, heavenly bat opened its mouth and roared. A terrifying sound wave burst out. Wherever the sound wave passed, the space rippled like water. In the end, it cracked open, revealing deep spatial rifts. The Emperor God frowned. His aura became stronger and stronger as he slashed out with his sword. This sword contained 3 types of concepts: the sword essence, the golden flame essence, and the space essence. This sword moved the space and formed a large space crack. The sword light slashed out. It was unstoppable as it slashed toward Sanguinarum. Sanguinarum shouted. Blood-winged heavenly bat's wings were like blades as it slashed out with its strongest attack. Boom! Heaven and earth shook. Rays of light swept across the sky. A pillar of light shot up into the sky, scattering the clouds in the sky. A hole seemed to have been punched in the sky. Bang! A figure retreated quickly. It was the blood-winged heavenly bat. As the blood-winged heavenly bat retreated, he turned back into his human form. However, there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Sanguinarum was injured. Do you still want to fight? The Emperor God's hair fluttered. His eyes were like lightning as he stared at Sanguinarum. He had an invincible confidence. That's it for today. We'll fight another day. Sanguinarum's face turned ugly. He snorted coldly. Then his figure flashed, and he instantly disappeared. Sanguinarum actually left just like that. Everyone knew that Sanguinarum had lost. He had lost to the Emperor God. Chapter 1061. Di Xin, a genius from Eastern Wilderness, had defeated Sanguinarum, shocking everyone. Di Xin is so powerful. He didn't even use his bloodline. I didn't expect there to be someone like him in Eastern Wilderness. I heard that Di Xin is a direct descendant of a martial emperor in Eastern Wilderness. He's so talented that he's ranked 2nd in Eastern Wilderness. What? Di Xin is ranked 2nd in Eastern Wilderness? I thought he was the top genius in Eastern Wilderness. Who's ranked 1st then? Lu Ming is ranked 1st. Di Xin is so powerful, but Lu Ming is able to defeat him. What kind of genius is he? Looks like this generation is a great era. Even Eastern Wilderness has risen to prominence. Geniuses like Lu Ming and Di Xin are born. Many people were amazed by Di Xin's power. They were also curious about Lu Ming, who was able to defeat Di Xin. Sanguinarum is so unlucky. He has lost a few battles in the past year. He was defeated by a genius called Lu Shaoqing a year ago, and now he's defeated by Di Xin. That's how the fight between geniuses works. The weak will become the stepping stones of the stronger. Some people who had grudges with Cold Blood Hall deliberately dug up Sanguinarum's past. Looks like we have another powerful opponent in the future. Demonic Mountain Lord said, his eyes filled with a strong fighting spirit. He's really terrifying. Ian Bupo nodded. His combat strength was almost the same as Sanguinarum's, and he was probably no match for Di Xin. According to the World Academy, Tiansu Cave is open. Anyone who passes it can enter the marrow cleansing pool once. Suddenly, a piece of news came, causing an uproar at the scene. What? Tiansu Cave is open? Anyone who passes it can enter the marrow cleansing pool? Is that true? It's true. It's definitely true. The news came from the headmaster of the World Academy. Gosh, it's great that I can enter the marrow cleansing pool. I want to give it a try too. You? Stop dreaming. Who doesn't know that the World Academy's Sky Market Cave is terrifyingly difficult? Since ancient times, very few people have been able to pass it. How would you know if you don't try? I heard that the Heavenly Ruin Cave doesn't test one's strength. Everyone who enters the Heavenly Ruin Cave will face different situations. There was once a martial king who entered the Heavenly Ruin Cave. That's true. Let's give it a try. After an intense discussion, countless people flew in a certain direction. Sky Market Cave? Marrow Cleansing Pool? I didn't expect the World Academy to open the Marrow Cleansing Pool. I can fight for it. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The World Academy's Marrow Cleansing Pool was famous all over the world. Entering the Marrow Cleansing Pool would allow a martial artist's physical body to undergo a metamorphosis, complete a sublimation, and finally reach perfection. One of the most important conditions for breaking through to the martial emperor realm was to have a perfect grade 9 physical body. However, after cultivating the perfect grade 9 physical body, it would be difficult to complete it. There would be a hurdle that would be difficult to cross. However, the Marrow Cleansing Pool could complete the perfect grade 9 physical body and lay the first foundation for breaking through to the martial emperor realm. Many peerless geniuses who aspired to become martial emperors were tempted. For example, Jing Kongling, Junyu, and the others. Even those geniuses who knew that they had no chance of breaking through to the martial emperor realm were tempted. Who wouldn't want to have a stronger physical body? Lu Ming was also tempted. His physical body had reached the perfect grade 9 physical body. If he could cultivate his physical body to the perfect grade 9 physical body in the Marrow Cleansing Pool, it would save him a lot of trouble in the future. Lu Ming also left the Jade platform and followed the crowd in a certain direction. Soon, they arrived in front of a huge mountain. This mountain was extremely huge. The bottom of the mountain was at least 100 miles wide. At the foot of the mountain, there was a huge cave. This was the Sky Market Cave. The Sky Market Cave led from here to the other side of the mountain. It was 100 miles long. As long as one could pass through the Sky Market Cave and come out from the other side, one would be considered to have passed the Sky Market Cave and be given a slot to enter the Marrow Cleansing Pool. However, the Sky Market Cave was extremely mysterious. It was said that everyone who entered would encounter different things. Since ancient times, very few people had been able to pass it. It was extremely mysterious. I'll give it a try. A young man rushed into the Sky Market Cave. Soon, a light flashed outside the Sky Market Cave and he was teleported out. He returned to the crowd dejectedly. What happened? What did you encounter? Someone asked. As soon as I entered, I encountered a powerful beast. It slapped me and I was severely injured. That's why I was teleported out. Fortunately, the injury was fake. I recovered as soon as I came out. That person replied, I'll give it a try. Another person rushed in. After a while, he was also teleported out. Someone asked him. The person said that he encountered a battle sword and it directly chopped him into pieces. Everyone looked at each other. Indeed, everyone who entered would encounter different situations. It was impossible to know the flaws, weaknesses, and patterns. Next, the Sky Prides entered the Sky Market Cave one after another. However, none of them succeeded. Jing Kongling, Junyu, and the other Sky Prides did not move. They stood in the void and watched quietly. Lu Ming did not move either. He was not in a hurry and let the others go first. In the end, Lu Ming closed his eyes and comprehended the will of heaven and earth. For 10 days, countless people went in. However, none of them succeeded. Everyone was dejected. Chu Kuang, Zhang Wenjing, and the other grade 3 Sky Prides also went in. However, they all failed. Yin Bupo went in. Someone shouted. Many people were shocked. Finally, a grade 2 Sky Pride made a move. Yin Bupo went in for a long time. After half an hour, he still had not come out. Can Yin Bupo make it? Someone guessed. It was very likely that he had not come out after half an hour. Grade 2 sky prides were indeed different. Someone went to the other side of the mountain and waited to see if Bupo would come out of the sky market cave. Suddenly, a light flashed at the entrance of the sky market cave. Bupo was also sent out. Bupo sighed. He had also failed. This sky market cave is too difficult. Even a grade 2 sky pride can't make it. It's indeed too difficult. I wonder if the 5 young overlords can make it. Many people sighed. Whoosh! A ray of blood light rushed in. It's Sanguinarum. Someone recognized him. Sanguinarum had apparently recovered from his injuries. He also appeared here and wanted to try the sky market cave. Unfortunately, similar to Bupo, he was also sent out after half an hour. He had also failed. Next, Junyu, Sandalwood Fairy, and the others went in one after another. However, they all failed. Wu Qinkong went in. Someone whispered. A young man in a white robe with a long sword on his back stepped into the sky market cave. Wu Qinkong, the #1 sky pride of the Sky Martial Sword Sect. He was an extremely terrifying and powerful figure. He was very famous in the Central Continent. Grade 2 sky prides were also divided into strong and weak ones. Wu Qinkong was undoubtedly one of the top Grade 2 sky prides. He was known as one of the strongest sky prides after the 5 young overlords. Chapter 1062. Almost an hour had passed since Wu Qinkong entered. In the end, Wu Qinkong failed and was sent out. Even Wu Qinkong failed. Will we be able to get through the Tianshu cave? Yeah, it's too difficult. Maybe he can't even pass the 5 giants. That's not necessarily true. The Tianshu cave doesn't test pure combat strength. Many people sighed. Even Wu Qinkong could not pass it. It was too difficult. Wu Qinkong flew to the side with his combat sword on his back and sat in the air calmly. I'll give it a try. Jing Kongling stepped into the air and entered the Tianshu cave, surrounded by clouds. However, no one was optimistic about Jing Kongling. Even Wu Qinkong had failed. No one thought that Jing Kongling could pass. Almost an hour later, a cry of surprise came from the exit of the Tianshu cave. Success! Jing Kongling succeeded. Exclamations rose and fell. What? Jing Kongling succeeded? Let's go and see. Instantly, many people flew to the other side of the mountain. Even Sandalwood Fairy, Junyu, and Wu Qinkong could not help but fly to the other side of the mountain. When they arrived, they saw Jing Kongling standing in the void. Jing Kongling had passed the Tianshu cave. Whoosh! Whoosh! At that moment, 2 beams of light flew down from the white jade palace in the sky and turned into 2 white-robed elders. They were the 2 elders of the World Academy. Haha! Miss Jing Kongling, congratulations on obtaining a spot to enter the marrow cleansing pool. This token is for you. The marrow cleansing pool will open in half a month. With this token, you can enter the marrow cleansing pool. An old man laughed. A badge appeared in his hand, and he handed it to Jing Kongling. Thank you, Senior. Jing Kongling thanked him and took the token. Many people looked at Jing Kongling enviously. This was a token that could allow one to enter the marrow cleansing pool. Bupo, Sanguinarum, Junyu, and the others were even more envious. They were all aspiring sovereigns. The marrow cleansing pool could save them a lot of time. Wu Qinkong's eyes were burning with passion. He looked at Jing Kongling possessively. Everyone knew that Wu Qinkong was Jing Kongling's admirer, but Jing Kongling did not seem to be interested in him. Sister Kongling, congratulations. Sandalwood Fairy smiled and walked towards Jing Kongling to congratulate him. Fairy Sandalwood did not feel anything about the marrow cleansing pool. She cultivated the Tao of inscription, so the strength of her physical body did not matter much. Jing Kongling was also quite happy. At first, she didn't think that she would be able to pass. Then, everyone returned to the entrance of the Heavenly Market Cave. A tall and straight figure stepped in. It's him, Emperor God. Many people's eyes flickered. After defeating Sanguinarum last time, Dishen's fame had increased greatly and he had attracted a lot of attention. Many people were watching and guessing whether the imperial god could pass through the Sky Market Cave. It shouldn't be possible. The pure void spirit is a special case. I really don't know what the requirements are for entering the Heavenly Market Cave. It's too difficult to pass through the Heavenly Market Cave. Based on this ratio, less than 10 people in the world can pass through. Indeed, the World Academy already knew that not many people could pass. That's why they opened the marrow cleansing pool. Otherwise, if everyone could pass, the World Academy would suffer a huge loss. Some people were chatting and waiting. Suddenly he passed. Dishen passed. Another cry of surprise rang out. What? He passed? How is that possible? A group of people was shocked and hurriedly flew over to take a look. Indeed, they saw Dishen at the entrance of the Heavenly Market Cave. Dishen really passed through the Heavenly Market Cave. This Dishen is amazing. Some people sighed and began to re-evaluate Dishen. Dishen had first defeated Sanguinarum, and now he had passed through the Heavenly Market Cave. It was really amazing. Naturally, many people thought of Lu Ming. Anyone who knew about the Eastern Wilderness geniuses knew that Lu Ming, not Dishen, was the strongest in the Eastern Wilderness. Even Wu Qingkong stared at Dishen with 2 beams of terrifying sword light in his eyes. As expected of Dishen, the strongest descendant of De. In the crowd, Lu Ming's lips curled up slightly. Dishen was indeed very strong and talented. He had comprehended 3 types of intent realm, and he even had a terrifying intent realm like the space intent realm. During the War of Providence, Lu Ming had relied on the combination of the path of inscription to barely suppress Dishen. In Lu Ming's heart, he had never underestimated Dishen. Now that more than a year and a half had passed, Dishen had become even more terrifying. In the white jade palace above, the 2 elders flew down again and looked at Dishen in surprise. Another person had passed. This was indeed beyond the expectations of the World Academy's higher-ups. Young Master Dishen, take this token. With it, you can enter the marrow cleansing pool to cultivate. One of the elders handed Dishen a token. Dishen took it and thanked the elder. Yang Patian is here. Suddenly, a cry of surprise came from the front. What? Yang Patian, one of the 5 giants, is here. The scene was filled with exclamations. Then, one by one, they rushed forward. In the air, a young man walked over. This young man had his hands behind his back. His hair was loose, and he was tall and burly. His eyes were bright and full of wildness. Step by step, he walked very slowly, but there was a supreme majesty exuding from him. Everyone felt a huge pressure weighing down on their hearts. Wu Qingkong, Junyu, and the other Sky Prides looked solemn. Dishen's eyes revealed a trace of battle intent. Like Dishen, Yang Patian had also cultivated the space intent realm. Is this Yang Patian, one of the 5 young giants? Lu Ming's eyes were bright as he stared at Yang Patian. Yang Patian gave him a strong sense of pressure. He had a feeling that this person was very strong and dangerous. Yang Patian walked in the air. Without looking at the crowd, he walked into the Sky Market Cave and disappeared. Let's go to the exit. Yang Patian should be able to pass through the Sky Market Cave. Many people flew to the exit of the Sky Market Cave. Even the 2 elders from the World Academy did not leave. Instead, they waited at the exit. Half an hour later, a tall figure stepped out of the Sky Market Cave's exit. Yang Patian. He had indeed passed through the Sky Market Cave. Amazing, amazing. The 5 giants should be able to pass through the Sky Market Cave. That's right. The 5 giants are too terrifying. In the past, they were all Sky Prides that only appeared once in 1,000 years. However, 5 of them appeared at the same time in this generation. Many people sighed. The 5 giants were the pinnacle of all the Sky Prides in the central continent. The ultimate goal of all the young people was to be powerful. It was certain that they would become supremes. In the future, there was a high chance that they would break through to the Emperor realm. In other words, they were the next generation of emperors. It's time for me to give it a try. Lu Ming smiled. He walked to the entrance and stepped in. Chapter 1063. After Yang Patian received the token from the World Academy's elder, many people returned to the entrance of the Sky Market Cave. After Yang Patian put away the token, he stepped into the air and left as if there was nothing worth his attention. Another person went in. Who is it? I wanted to go in and give it a try. I don't know him. He's just a small fry. I think he'll come out in less than 2 minutes. Today is really exciting. 3 people passed the Sky Market Cave in a row. Yeah, but the strongest group of people have already gone in. I don't think anyone else will pass. Many people chatted casually, planning to wait for Lu Ming to fail and be teleported out. But 1 minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes passed and Lu Ming still hadn't come out. Nest, that guy can actually hold on for so long. Strange. Let's wait a little longer. Maybe he'll come out in a while. However, they waited for a long time, but Lu Ming still didn't come out. They couldn't help but look at each other. As soon as Lu Ming stepped into the Sky Market Cave, his surroundings changed and he arrived on a platform. Formation. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. There was an extremely powerful formation in the Sky Market Cave. No, my cultivation. At this moment, Lu Ming was shocked to discover that his cultivation level had been decreasing at a rapid pace. From the Spirit God realm to the Spirit Embryo realm, then to the Spirit Sea realm, King realm, Martial Ancestor. In the end, Lu Ming's cultivation fell all the way to the 9th level of the Martial Warrior realm before stopping. His Intent realm, 2nd bloodline, and 3rd bloodline were all sealed. Only the 9 dragons bloodline wasn't sealed. The combat strength he could exert was actually similar to when he was at the 9th level of the Martial Warrior realm. Beside Lu Ming, there was a long spear. In front of the platform, a figure condensed. It was a middle-aged man with a long sword on his back. The aura he emitted was at the 1st level of the Martial Master realm. That long spear is your weapon. If you can defeat me, you can go to the next level, the middle-aged man said coldly. Then he unsheathed his sword and a sharp sword light cut through the air, making an ear-piercing sound as it slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming pulled out the long spear beside him, shook it, and displayed the astral fire spear art. Whoosh! The long spear turned into a beam of rainbow light and pierced through the middle-aged man's forehead, killing him instantly. The middle-aged man's figure collapsed and disappeared without a trace. Is this a test of my battle prowess in the Martial Warrior 9th layer? Lu Ming guessed. In the next moment, 3 figures appeared in front of the platform. The 3 middle-aged men looked exactly the same, and their cultivations were all at Martial Master Realm. The 3 of them unsheathed their swords at the same time and charged at Lu Ming. With a flick of his spear, he engaged in a fierce battle with the 3 middle-aged men. In a short while, the 3 of them were killed. When Lu Ming had been a 9th level martial warrior, it had not been difficult for him to kill a 1st level martial master. After killing the 3 people, the surrounding environment changed again, and Lu Ming appeared on another platform. My cultivation has reached the 9th level martial master realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat as he discovered that his cultivation had reached the 9th level martial master realm. In front of him, another middle-aged man appeared. He looked the same as the previous one, but his cultivation was completely different. This middle-aged man emitted an aura of a 1st level martial master realm. Sure enough, was this a test of Lu Ming's battle prowess at each stage? There was nothing to say. The 2 of them fought, and Lu Ming killed the middle-aged man in just 1 move. In the next moment, 3 other middle-aged men at the 1st level martial master realm appeared and were also killed by Lu Ming. After that, Lu Ming's cultivation rose to the 9th level martial master realm. An opponent that appeared was at the 1st level martial ancestor realm. The outcome was the same. Lu Ming overcame all the difficulties and passed this round. In the next stage, Lu Ming's cultivation was at the half-step king realm, and his opponent was at the first-level martial king realm. At this time, Lu Ming discovered that he could use the power of the second bloodline. However, he could only unleash the power of the half-step king realm. In this battle, Lu Ming spent a bit of time, because the further he went, the harder it was to fight across realms. However, Lu Ming still passed. Then, Lu Ming's cultivation rose to the peak king realm, and his opponent became at the first level spiritual sea realm. This battle took up a lot of time, but he still managed to pass it. Then it was the perfect spiritual sea realm and the first level spirit embryo realm. He also passed. However, when Lu Ming's cultivation rose to the perfect spirit embryo realm and the first level battle spirit god realm, he encountered a real challenge. In the beginning, when he faced a first level spirit god realm, Lu Ming could still relax and kill him in the end. However, when he fought against 3 first-level spirit god realm experts, he encountered a huge challenge. Lu Ming used all his strength to fight against the 3 first-level spirit god realm experts. This battle lasted for half an hour. Lu Ming killed the 3 first-level spirit god realm experts with great difficulty, and he himself was severely injured. This is too difficult. If it's all this difficulty, how did Jing Kongling pass? How did the Emperor God pass? Lu Ming thought speechlessly. It was hard to say, but Lu Ming was sure that Jing Kongling and the Emperor God couldn't kill 3 first-level spirit god realm experts when their spirit embryos were at the perfect stage. Everyone faces different situations in the Sky Market Cave. Could it be that my luck is bad and I encountered a difficult one? Lu Ming was speechless. At this time, the surrounding environment changed. Lu Ming discovered that there was a cave entrance in front of him. Bright light shone from the cave entrance. Lu Ming passed through the entrance of the Sky Market Cave. At this time, Lu Ming discovered that his cultivation had recovered to the first-level spirit god realm, and the injuries he suffered earlier had also healed. Without hesitation, he took a step out. As soon as he stepped out, he saw that some people outside the cave were staring at him in disbelief. At the entrance of the Heavenly Ruins cave, there were undoubtedly more people guarding it. However, at this moment, some of them were already impatient. Who is it? Why hasn't he come out after so long? I've been waiting for an hour. Yeah, who went in just now? Could it be another second-class prodigy? I didn't see him just now. No, I've never seen that person before. I don't know him. You don't know him? He must be a small fry. How could he have been in there for so long? Could he have passed? Impossible, he can't have passed. At this time, an incredulous shout came from the entrance of the Sky Market Cave. He passed. Another person passed. Who is he? Why haven't I seen him before? The voices were clearly heard, and the people at the entrance of the Sky Market Cave were stunned. They looked at each other in dismay. He passed? Who is it? Let's go take a look. At this time, almost everyone flew toward the entrance of the Sky Market Cave. When they saw Lu Ming, they were all shocked. This was because no one knew him. They had never seen him before. Lu Ming smiled bitterly as he looked around. His tanned face revealed a simple and honest smile. Is he from the Eastern Wilderness? Someone asked the Emperor God. No, I've never seen him before. The Emperor God shook his head. He's not from the Northern Plains either. The ones who spoke were a few burly young men. They were carrying maces and axes, and their auras were wild. Chapter 1064. He's not from the Eastern Wilderness or the Northern Plains. He's definitely not from the Western Desert. Could he be a genius from Nanming? Impossible. No one from Nanming comes here. Everyone continued to talk about it, trying to guess Lu Ming's identity. However, in the end, no one knew who Lu Ming was. The Sky Market Cave is mysterious. Not only the strongest geniuses can pass it. Some ordinary geniuses can pass it if they're lucky. Someone said. Everyone looked at him strangely. Some of them looked at Lu Ming passionately. Swoosh! Swoosh! 2 white-haired elders descended from the sky. They were the two elders from the World Academy. The two elders were surprised to see Lu Ming. They thought that no one would be able to pass the Sky Market Cave after Yang Tian. They did not expect someone to succeed. Young friend, take this token. The marrow cleansing pool will open in half a month. You can enter it with this token. One of the elders took out a token and handed it to Lu Ming. Thank you, elders. Lu Ming took the token and thanked them with cupped fists. The two old men smiled faintly and turned to leave. Many people looked at the token in Lu Ming's hand with passion. Among them, Wu Chunkong, Sanguinarum, and other second-grade geniuses were the most excited. Please make way. Lu Ming put away the token and revealed a simple and honest smile. He squeezed through the crowd and headed toward the all-encompassing jade wall. He was no longer interested in who would pass the Sky Market Cave. In the crowd, Sanguinarum looked at Lu Ming's back. Dandan, how's the research going? When he arrived at the jade annulus, he saw Dandan pacing back and forth, studying it carefully. I've already made some progress. Kid, don't disturb me. After a while, I'll definitely give you a big surprise. Dandan ignored Lu Ming and continued his research. This guy. Lu Ming smiled and ignored Dandan. He searched for a suitable jade disc and continued to comprehend. The all-appearances jade annulus was all-encompassing. Anything could be found in it. Soon, Lu Ming found an incomparably mysterious jade wall. Before this jade wall, Lu Ming could comprehend the profound principles of the concept of fire. Lu Ming carefully comprehended. With Lu Ming's current perception, he had gained a lot. In just a few days, Lu Ming's concept of fire had gained a lot. He felt that he could break through at any time and reach the fourth level of the concept of fire. Lu Ming was overjoyed and continued to comprehend. After another 3 days, Lu Ming's concept of fire really made a breakthrough, reaching level 4 lower tier. This trip to the World Academy was worth it. He had gained a lot. Young hero, my young master invites you in. At this time a young woman walked to Lu Ming's side, smiling sweetly. Who is your young master? Lu Ming frowned slightly. You'll know when you get there. It's on that mountain not far away. The woman pointed to a mountain in the east. Okay, I'll go with you. Lu Ming pondered for a moment, then followed the young woman and flew toward the mountain. The mountain was only about 100 miles away from the all-appearances jade annulus. They arrived in a flash. There were 2 figures on the mountain. One of them was Sanguinarum, while the other was older and wore a blood-red robe. He must be an expert from Cold Blood Hall. Sanguinarum smiled when he saw Lu Ming. Haha, how should I address you, brother? I'm from the mountains. You won't know me even if I tell you. May I know what business you have with me? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Oh, it's very simple. I want to buy your token to enter the marrow cleansing pool. How many origin stones do you need? You can name a price. Sanguinarum said. So it's because of this. Lu Ming sneered. When he saw Sanguinarum, he guessed that Sanguinarum was looking for him because of his token. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. I have no intention of selling the token. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Sanguinarum's face darkened when he saw Lu Ming's refusal. You'd better think about it. The marrow cleansing pool is of no use to you. It'll only be a waste. Only in my hands can it be maximized. There was a hint of threat in his tone. He looked at Lu Ming with disdain. What he meant was that the marrow cleansing pool would be a waste in Lu Ming's hands. It's my business whether it's a waste or not. You don't have to worry about it. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. Lu Ming said coldly and turned to leave. Boom! All of a sudden, a terrifying and powerful aura rose and a strong pressure pressed down on Lu Ming's body. It was Master Shueluozi. At this moment, Master Shueluozi's eyes were cold as he said, Brat, even if you don't want to, you have to. That token is a complete waste on you. Only with me will it be able to bring out its full potential. It can only be used to its greatest potential when it's on you. Lu Ming looked at Sanguinarum with disdain and said, First, You were defeated by Lu Shaoqing. Then, you were defeated by the Emperor God. A loser like you is acting all high and mighty. Aren't you ashamed? In my opinion, it's a waste to give the token to you. How dare you? Sanguinarum roared and said coldly, Kid, I wanted to buy it from you with origin stones. It seems like there's no need for that now. Hand it over. Otherwise, you know the consequences. The old man, next to Sanguinarum, also stared coldly at Lu Ming. That elder was definitely a powerful cultivator, a terrifying, powerful cultivator. He gave Lu Ming a very dangerous feeling. However, Lu Ming was not afraid. This was the World Academy. Idiot! Lu Ming looked at Sanguinarum with disdain and said, Do you think this is Cold Blood Hall? This is the World Academy. There are emperors here. I'm afraid even the emperors have seen what you've done. Do you still want to rob me? You! Sanguinarum gritted his teeth. Indeed, this was the World Academy. Lu Ming had obtained the token to enter the marrow cleansing pool through the cave of Heaven Market. If Lu Ming had given the token to him, the World Academy might not have cared. However, if they wanted to rob him, the World Academy would not sit by and do nothing. He thought that given his status, Lu Ming, this lad who appeared out of nowhere, would definitely be scared to death. He would give him face and obediently give him the token. Unexpectedly, Lu Ming did not give him any face at all. Kid, you can't hide in the World Academy forever. You'd better leave yourself a way out. The old man said coldly. This was a blatant threat. He meant that if Lu Ming left the World Academy, no one would be able to protect him. Ha! Lu Ming sneered. He could not be bothered to say more. He simply ignored Shui Luozi and the elder and turned to leave. The old man and Sanguinarum were so angry that their faces turned green. They were ignored by Lu Ming. Lu Ming walked toward the Plenitude Jade Wall. However, he was stopped by someone on the way. It was Wu Chenkong from the Sky Martial Sword Sect. Chapter 1065. What's the matter? Lu Ming asked coldly. Hand over your medallion and give me the spot to enter the marrow cleansing pool. Wu Chenkong was very direct and went straight to the point. Lu Ming smiled coldly. Indeed, it was because of the spot to enter the marrow cleansing pool. These people really thought that he was a pushover. Jing Kongling had the floating mountain sect and Yang Patian behind him, so they did not dare to offend him. The Di Shen had shown great strength, and the Di Tian Divine Palace was behind him. However, they did not go looking for him. Without a doubt, Lu Ming, who had appeared out of nowhere, had become a hot steamed bun. Idiot! Lu Ming said, and did not bother with Wu Qingkong. He took a step forward and moved like a beam of light, instantly arriving at the myriad jade annulus. He continued to search for the corresponding jade annulus. Wu Qingkong's eyes were as sharp as swords as he looked in the direction Lu Ming left. Lu Ming was very unhappy. If these people continued to pester him, Lu Ming did not mind using thunderous means to teach them a lesson. Lu Ming continued searching for the jade annulus. Soon he found a jade annulus with a profound state of thunder and carefully comprehended it. Time flowed like water. Half a month had passed since Lu Ming passed through the heavenly ruin cave. At this moment, someone came to inform Lu Ming that the marrow cleansing pool had opened and he could enter. Lu Ming followed this person and flew over many mountains before arriving at a small hill. When he arrived, he found that Jing Kongling, the Di Shen, and Yang Patian were already there. When Jing Kongling saw Lu Ming, he smiled. The Di Shen sized up Lu Ming curiously. As for Yang Patian, he had his hands behind his back and did not even look at Lu Ming. All right, open the marrow cleansing pool. There were a few white-haired old men here. The mental energy flame on their foreheads jumped, and inscriptions appeared and entered the hill. Ka! Ka! The hill cracked open, revealing an ancient bluestone path leading to the front. Go! The marrow cleansing pool is just ahead. You only have 3 days. Once the 3 days are up, come out. An elder reminded. Everyone nodded. Yang Patian took the lead and walked towards the ancient bluestone road. Then Di Shen, Jing Kongling and Lu Ming stepped onto the ancient path one after another. Stepping on the ancient bluestone road, a land filled with dense spiritual energy appeared in front of them. On the ground, there were 9 ponds that emitted a faint mist, just like 9 celestial ponds. This was the marrow cleansing pool. Lu Ming was shocked. He hadn't expected there to be 9 marrow cleansing pools. However, the area was not large. Each of them was only a few meters in radius. The 4 of them each chose one and walked over, stepping into the marrow cleansing pool. As soon as Lu Ming stepped into the marrow cleansing pool, he immediately felt a mysterious power around him. It kept drilling into his body. It was the pool water. It was the power of the pool water. The water of the marrow cleansing pond had a mysterious and unfathomable power. Of course, it wasn't just the water. The entire marrow cleansing pond had a kind of field energy that helped the water permeate Lu Ming's body. At this moment, Lu Ming felt that his physical body was rapidly improving. Originally, Lu Ming's physical body had reached grade 9. Now it was constantly climbing towards the peak of grade 9. So comfortable! Lu Ming exclaimed. Marrow cleansing was supposed to be a very painful thing. However, there was no pain at all here. Instead, he felt comfortable all over. Lu Ming could clearly feel that the impurities and dirt in his body were being cleaned out by a mysterious power. It made his body purer and cleaner. Time flew by quickly. Just like that, 3 days passed. Splash! Lu Ming rushed to the marrow cleansing pool, his eyes shining. So cool! Lu Ming felt refreshed, and his body was ethereal. Now his physical body was perfect. It was as if his body was made of divine stainless gold. It was strong and pure. Complete grade 9. Complete grade 9. Is this the limit of the physical body? Lu Ming felt carefully, and his face was filled with joy. He had a feeling that his physical body was now complete and had reached a limit. It was impossible to improve it anymore. If it continued to improve, it would no longer be a mortal body. It would be another level. Jing Kongling, Di Shen, Yang Patian, and the others also came out of the marrow cleansing pool with smiles on their faces. Obviously, they had also gained a lot. Yang Patian took the lead and walked out. Then, the others came out of the marrow cleansing pool one after another. Outside, the elders were still waiting. When they came out, the elders inscribed inscriptions and the hill returned to its original state. Boom! 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 At this moment, in the distance, 9 light pillars shot up into the sky. It was extremely shocking. Everyone looked in that direction in shock because it was the direction of the universal jade annulus. What was going on? Is this the Saint Mansion? The Saint Mansion is open. The elders of the World Academy were excited and their voices trembled. Saint Mansion? Lu Ming and the others were shocked. Legend had it that the universal jade annulus had a great secret. It was connected to a divine treasure and a secret land. It was very mysterious. 30,000 years ago, the divine treasure could be opened occasionally. Experts would enter to cultivate and comprehend the path. It contained great opportunities. But 30,000 years ago, there was a terrible war in the central continent. The ancient Saint dynasty rebelled. That war directly weakened the ancient Saint dynasty's Xia family, and the central continent was divided by the emperors. The World Academy was also seriously affected by that war. In the end, even the method to open the divine treasure was lost. Since then, that divine treasure and the Saint Mansion had never been opened. Could it be opened again? Whoosh! 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 Without hesitation, Lu Ming and the others flew in the direction of the universal jade annulus. At this moment, Lu Ming saw streaks of light flying out of the huge, white jade palace in the sky. Streaks of light flew out of all the peaks of the World Academy and toward the universal jade annulus. Soon, Lu Ming and the others arrived. At this moment, all the universal jade annulus were glowing. Inscriptions appeared and gathered into 9 huge light pillars that shot into the sky. Outside the 9 light pillars, there were countless figures standing in a dense crowd. Obviously, the elites who were comprehending in the universal jade annulus had been expelled for some reason. Whoosh! As soon as Lu Ming arrived, a little turtle jumped onto Lu Ming's shoulder. "Dandan, what's going on?" Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Dandan. "Haha, Lu Ming, how is it? I've cracked the secret of this place. I've activated the formation here." Dandan transmitted his voice to Lu Ming proudly. "You did it!" Lu Ming was speechless. In fact, he had guessed that it might be because of Dandan, but he didn't expect it to be Dandan. "This place is connected to a mystic realm. It's amazing!" Dandan exclaimed. Boom! 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 At this moment, more and more people appeared in the sky. Some of the elders emitted terrifying auras. Supremes, so many Supremes. Lu Ming was all too familiar with this aura. It was the aura of a Supremes. Chapter 1066. The World Academy indeed had people who practiced the path of inscription and martial arts. They were extremely powerful and unfathomable. There were also many people whose auras were weaker than supreme beings, but they were still extremely powerful. They were definitely high-level spirit gods. The sacred mansion is open. The sacred mansion that hasn't been opened for 30,000 years has really opened. The dean made the right decision. Voices echoed in the sky. Whoosh! Suddenly, an old man stepped out and rushed toward one of the light pillars. However, as soon as he rushed in, he immediately revealed a look of horror and let out a scream. In the next moment, his body directly exploded, and his body and soul were destroyed. Many people gasped and felt a chill run down their spine. That old man was definitely a high-level spirit god, but he died just like that. What's going on? How could this be? Legend has it that anyone can enter the sacred mansion. Why did Elder Wu die? In the World Academy, there were voices of disbelief. 30,000 years ago, regardless of gender or age, no matter how strong one's cultivation was, they could enter the sacred mansion to find opportunities and cultivate. But why did that old man die just now? Did the rules of the sacred mansion change? Someone made a guess. Many people felt that it was very likely. After all, the sacred mansion had not been opened for 30,000 years. It was also very likely that the rules had changed. In this way, no one dared to act rashly. No one knew if they would die if they rushed in. After that, the World Academy sent out experts to study and find out what was going on. The news of the World Academy's sacred mansion reopening also spread like a storm. Dandan, do you know what's going on? Lu Ming appeared on a mountain peak 100 miles away with Dandan and asked, "According to my speculation, the 9 light pillars are the space path, the passage to the arcane realm. However, this passage contains a time array, and there is a requirement for the age of the person who enters. However, I don't know the specific age limit, so I don't know." Dandan explained. "There's a requirement for age? That's strange." Lu Ming was a little surprised because, according to the rumors, there was no age limit in this arcane realm 30,000 years ago. However, it was useless to think too much about it. Next, Lu Ming cultivated while waiting for news. If he was able to enter at that time, Lu Ming didn't want to miss it. It was said that within that secret ground, there would be great opportunities. In the past, there would often be utmost powerful beings sitting in seclusion within. If those utmost powerful beings could leave behind something, that would be a great opportunity as well. That was because, according to the legends, the most powerful experts were all emperors. As the days passed, more and more people came to the World Academy. Many major forces received the news, and a large number of people rushed over. Some of the factions even sent 9 heavens supremes. For example, the forces closest to the World Academy, such as Floating Mountain, Cold Blood Hall, Sky Eagle Castle, Sky Martial Sword Sect, Demon Mountain, and G Family. There were also people from many smaller forces who had come. In fact, even more geniuses had arrived. For a moment, the World Academy was filled with powerful cultivators. In the blink of an eye, 10 days had passed. At this time, the World Academy released news that they had investigated the rules of the entrance to the Saint Mansion Arcane Realm. Only living beings under the age of 50 could enter, and those over 50 who entered would die. Moreover, the World Academy and the 9 Heavens Supremes of the various factions had discussed that all of them could enter. However, because there were too many people coming to the World Academy, including those under the age of 50, it was obviously not feasible for so many people to enter. Therefore, the World Academy planned to screen those who had reached a certain level of fighting strength to enter. This was because it was said that the Saint Mansion Arcane Realm was also very dangerous. Those who didn't have enough fighting strength would also die. A day later, a huge formation rose up in a huge square of the World Academy. This formation was the screening place. Anyone under the age of 50 could participate in the selection of the Commander-in-Chief. Only those who passed could enter the Saint Mansion Arcane Realm. There was a sea of people gathered around the square. Countless people from various factions had gathered here. Lu Ming was also in the crowd. Some people were standing in the sky. Most of them were old, and some looked young. Everyone knew that these people were the 9 Heavens Supremes of the various factions. Puppets will form within the spell formation. Enter and kill the puppets. Every time you kill a puppet, you will be covered with quintessence chi. At first, it will be red, but as more quintessence chi gathers, the color of your quintessence chi will change. Then it will be orange, yellow, green, and finally violet. Only when the essence chi gathers on your body reaches yellow will you pass. You can enter the Saint Mansion Arcane Realm. If you don't, you will be eliminated. Start now. In the sky, an old man from the World Academy announced the rules of the screening. The rules were very simple. Enter the formation, kill the puppets, and accumulate essence chi. If one's essence chi reached a certain level, they would pass. As soon as the old man finished speaking, many people rushed into the formation. There were many young people, but most of them were men in their 30s or 40s. This time, anyone below the age of 50 could enter. Those who were 50 years old were a generation older than Lu Ming's generation. Naturally, there would be more people. This formation could accommodate tens of thousands of people at the same time. However, after a few minutes, people were transported out continuously. Their bodies were covered in a layer of red light. It was obvious that they had been eliminated. These people aren't even in the spirit embryo realm. Naturally, they can't enter. Lu Ming shook his head. He could tell the cultivation level of these people. More than 10 minutes later, more people were eliminated. Many of these people were covered in orange light, but they were still eliminated. Their cultivation was mostly below the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm. After that, the people who were transported out all had yellow light on their bodies. These people were delighted because they had succeeded. As long as the light on their bodies reached yellow, it was considered a success. Looks like cultivation above the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm is more or less enough. Lu Ming thought to himself. He realized that the people who had succeeded were mostly above the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm. However, there were also young geniuses whose cultivation was below the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm. It was obvious that their battle prowess was above the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm. After more than an hour, the first batch of people who entered all came out. The strongest few people were covered in purple light, which was incomparably astonishing. Lu Ming saw Junyu and Sanguinarum, who were covered in purple light. However, there were more people in their 30s or 40s who were covered in purple light. These people had cultivated for a longer period of time, so their battle prowess was extremely strong. The second batch had tens of thousands of people entering. From this, it could be seen how many people were gathered at the World Academy. And this was only those below the age of 50. If there wasn't an age limit, the number of people would be even more terrifying. Lu Ming was also in the second batch. The moment he stepped into the formation, puppets that looked like demonic beasts condensed and pounced towards Lu Ming. Those below the spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming punched out and these puppets turned into ashes. At the same time, red essence flew over and covered Lu Ming's body. Following that, more puppets condensed. However, these puppets were too weak and were easily killed by Lu Ming. The light covering Lu Ming's body also slowly condensed and brightened. Chapter 1067. A few minutes later, the light covering Lu Ming's body turned orange. I'll just pass the test later. With this thought in mind, Lu Ming slowed down. Lu Ming planned to just pass the test. The only way to enter the sacred mansion's secret realm was to make a fortune quietly. If he was too eye-catching, he would be targeted by many people. Lu Ming deliberately used his movement skill to avoid many puppets. After more than 10 minutes, the light on Lu Ming's body turned yellow. At this time, he deliberately let a beast claw him. Then, a ray of light shone on Lu Ming and he was sent out. When Lu Ming went out, many people looked at him. Because Lu Ming had passed the heavenly market cave, he naturally attracted a lot of attention. However, when they saw the light on Lu Ming's body, it immediately caused an uproar. Oh, it's that kid who passed the heavenly market cave. Why did he only last for a short while? And it's only yellow? I knew it. This guy was just lucky. He probably encountered something easier when he passed the heavenly market cave. Legend has it that in ancient times, someone passed the heavenly market cave without encountering anything. This guy is just lucky. What a piece of trash. That's right. So this guy is trash. I thought he was a rare genius. Bah. All around, pairs of disdainful eyes looked at Lu Ming and mocked him. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He knew very well in his heart. Why should he care about what others thought? Lu Ming walked to the side and closed his eyes to rest. So he's a piece of trash. Sanguinarum sneered. Wu Qingkong's eyes were cold. The screening continued. There were more than 100,000 people participating in the screening. In the end, 20,000 people passed the screening and could enter the sacred mansion's secret realm. Junyu, come up. Sanguinarum, come up. Conling, come up. At this time, the supremes of the major forces in the sky were calling for the geniuses of their forces. Then Junyu, Sanguinarum, Jing Conling, Wu Qingkong, and the other geniuses flew into the sky. What's going on? Someone was surprised. I know. Legend has it that 30,000 years ago, the experts of the World Academy were able to obtain a rare treasure from the Saint Mansion's secret realm called the Saint Mansion Life Talisman. If you carry a Saint Mansion Life Talisman with you, if you are killed in the Saint Mansion's secret realm, the Life Talisman will save your life and allow you to revive outside the Saint Mansion's secret realm. What? There's actually such a precious treasure? That's right, but there aren't many life talismans left. The major factions must have spent a lot of money to buy them from the World Academy to protect their strongest geniuses. This is simply cheating. Many people sighed, feeling both envy and helplessness. With such a life talisman, he would be able to do whatever he wanted in the Saint Mansion's secret realm. He wouldn't have to worry about losing his life. In that case, he would be able to venture into dangerous places without any worries. Lu Ming naturally heard the discussions of the crowd. He could only sigh. It was really good to have a powerful force as a backer. Very soon, the various geniuses were assigned. Everyone, let me explain. The Saint Mansion secret realm is divided into 9 regions. That's why there are 9 light pillars. Each light pillar will appear in a different region. Now, the 9 major factions will each take 1 light pillar. Those from the other factions will follow the 9 major factions into the secret realm. Let's go now. I'll say it again. Those who didn't pass the screening will be forbidden from entering. Otherwise, you'll be killed without mercy. A white-haired elder from the World Academy announced the rules. His eyes were like lightning as he scanned the surroundings. He was incomparably majestic. Everyone was stunned. This was a supreme. No one dared to go against him. Immediately, everyone flew towards the universal jade annulus. You and you follow us in. Some of the strong men from the Sky Marshal Sword faction waved their hands and pointed at a group of people. Those people were from the smaller factions and had to follow the 9 major factions into the secret realm. This time, there were a total of 8 Overlord factions. There was also the Medicine King Valley. Although the Medicine King Valley wasn't an Overlord faction, they were on good terms with the major factions. They were very powerful and could be considered a major faction. Coincidentally, they occupied 9 light pillars. Those from the smaller factions that were pointed out by the Sky Marshal Sword faction obediently followed the people from the Sky Marshal Sword faction into a light pillar. Sure enough, those below 50 years old could enter without any problem. With a flash of light, the figures disappeared. "You, follow us." An expert from Demon Mountain pointed at a group of people who entered a light pillar. Each faction pointed at a group of people who entered a light pillar and disappeared. "You, follow us." A burly man from the Cold Blood Hall waved his hand and pointed at a group of people. Lu Ming was among them. "Oh no, we're going to follow the Cold Blood Hall. Why do I have a bad feeling about this?" Someone whispered. He was very wary of the Cold Blood Hall. The Cold Blood Hall had always been known for their ruthlessness. "What? You don't want to follow us? Then don't go in. A bunch of trash. What's the point of going in?" The strong man from the Cold Blood Hall shouted coldly. Everyone's faces darkened. Lu Ming smiled faintly and stepped forward. He saw a cold gaze staring at him. It was Sanguinarum. Lu Ming sneered. There were no senior experts in the Saint Mansion secret realm. If these people continued to push their luck, Lu Ming did not mind killing them. In the end, those who were pointed out followed the Cold Blood Hall and entered the light pillar. This was a great opportunity. Who would want to miss it? There was a flash of light. The next moment, Lu Ming discovered that he had appeared on a flat ground. This area was very flat, but there was a huge mountain in the distance. A ray of light was emitted from the top of the mountain, forming a light shield that shrouded a huge territory in light. Lu Ming and the others were now in the light shield. "Hey, my genuine vitality is greatly suppressed. It's difficult to fly." "Me too." "It's the light shield. It has a strong suppressive effect." At this time, voices came from all around. Lu Ming looked around and found many people from the Cold Blood Hall, as well as many who had entered the light pillar with him. Those who entered the light pillar would appear together. Lu Ming tried and found that his genuine vitality was greatly suppressed. Even if he could fly, his speed was extremely slow. "There's treasure on the mountain top. Let's go check it out." Many people had their eyes on the mountain and rushed forward. Suddenly, there was a scream in front of them. Light flashed and flames rose into the sky. Someone was burned to ashes in the flames. "Formation! There's a big formation here." Someone shouted. Lu Ming also rushed forward and looked carefully. Sure enough, the path leading to the mountain was full of dangerous formations. But this further proved that there was treasure ahead. Otherwise, why would there be so many formations? "Look, there's a spiritual herb ahead," someone whispered. In front of them, there was a small purple tree on a small hill. The tree was crystal clear and seemed to be made of purple jade. It was extraordinary. "There's more than one." Someone found another spiritual herb. Chapter 1068. Finally, someone could not help but carefully identify the gaps in the formation and carefully move forward. However, the formation glowed and several more people were killed in the formation. Everyone was finally scared. Although the spiritual herbs were good, they had to be alive to enjoy them. Otherwise, everything would be for naught. Many people began to retreat. They planned to leave this place and head to other places to seek opportunities. Swish, swish. Suddenly, a group of people in blood-red robes surrounded them. They were all experts from Cold Blood Hall. "What are you doing? Why are you blocking our way?" Someone asked. "What are we doing?" "We asked you to come with us, so you have to do something. Otherwise, what's the use of trash like you? Go, lead the way." A burly man in his prime said in a cold voice. He was in his 40s, half a generation older than Lu Ming and the others. His qi and blood surged, and his aura was extremely powerful. His cultivation was unfathomable. This time he was the leader of the Cold Blood Hall. What? You're asking us to pave the way for Cold Blood Hall? No, I'll never agree to that. A man in his prime refused. There were formations ahead. Wasn't it courting death to scout for Cold Blood Hall? You don't agree? Then die. Swish! The burly man from Cold Blood Hall took a step forward and suddenly appeared in front of the man. The man wanted to resist, but he was enveloped by a terrifying force and could not move. Puff! The burly man's hand was like a knife and stabbed into the man's chest. The man let out a shrill scream, and then, under everyone's horrified eyes, the man's body shriveled and turned into a dried corpse. Cold Blood Hall's blood-sucking skill. Someone's voice trembled, and his face was full of fear. Now, are you coming in or not? The burly man looked coldly at the crowd. Everyone's face was pale. I knew it. Following Cold Blood Hall here would not end well. I shouldn't have come in. Someone sighed, but at this point it was useless to say more. The group could only move forward. Brett, hurry up and go. Huang Kuei was also among the Cold Blood Hall people, and he stared at Lu Ming. Lu Ming glanced at Huang Kuei indifferently, but he didn't make a move. Instead, he walked forward with the others. Sanguinarum stared at Lu Ming and sneered, his eyes cold. Hurry up. If you don't leave, I'll kill you. The burly man shouted coldly. His name was Xue Feng, and he was the top expert of the previous generation in Cold Blood Hall. Many people gritted their teeth and stepped forward. Light flickered, and a great formation appeared. In an instant, more than 10 people were killed. Ah, it's too dangerous. Going up like this is simply courting death. I beg you, let me go. Someone trembled in fear and begged for mercy loudly. What's your name? Some people aren't fine. If you shout again, I'll kill you right now. Xue Feng said ferociously. Sure enough, some people were fine. After walking for 100 meters, they did not come across the formation. This region was not completely filled with great formations. There are some gaps left, and one could move through them. However, one needed to have good eyesight, and not everyone could see them. Lu Ming's figure flickered as he continued to move forward for more than 100 meters, without any problems. This kid is quite lucky. Sanguinarum stared coldly at Lu Ming. Last time, Lu Ming had refused to give him the opportunity to enter the marrow-cleansing pool, so he hated Lu Ming and had been looking for a chance to kill him. Lu Ming looked around and carefully identified the gaps. With his eyesight, he could naturally see where there were no formations. His figure flashed left and right, and he came to a small hill where a small purple tree grew. It was only 1 meter tall and looked like a purple jade. It was full of essence and was very extraordinary. Purple gold tree. Lu Ming recognized the small tree. It was an upper LV8 spiritual herb. If cultivated well, it could even bear purple gold fruit and evolve into a LV9 spiritual herb. Lu Ming dug out the purple gold tree and put it away. He would plant it in the mountain river diagram when he had time. Hey, kid, what are you doing? Who told you to put away the spiritual herb? Throw it out and give it to us. Huang Kuei had been staring at Lu Ming. When he saw Lu Ming put away the spiritual herb, he immediately shouted, Idiot! Lu Ming glanced at Huang Kuei and said indifferently, What did you say? Kid, you're courting death. You're dead. You know you're dead. Huang Kuei shouted angrily. Xue Feng and the others also looked at Lu Ming. Oh, come and kill me then. Lu Ming curled his lips. Don't come out if you dare. Huang Kuei looked at Lu Ming ferociously. His face was red, but he did not dare to step forward. Coward! Lu Ming pursed his lips. With a flash of his figure, he headed towards another spirit herb. Very soon, Lu Ming also put away the other spirit herb. No, he knows the art of inscription and can see the gaps in the formations. Xue Luozi roared. realizing what was going on. Lu Ming's movements were as smooth as flowing water. He was so fast that it did not seem like he was trying his luck, but he could see the gaps. Ha ha ha, these idiots. On his shoulder, Dandan laughed, and his eyes lit up. There were so many spiritual herbs here that he was almost drooling. During this period, Dandan had eaten a lot of spiritual herbs. He felt that he was constantly recovering and remembered many things. When he saw the spiritual herbs, his eyes lit up. Damn it! Sanguinarum, Huang Kuei, Shuefeng, and the others gnashed their teeth. They could not wait to kill Lu Ming. Those who were lucky enough not to be killed by the formation stood still. Anyway, they did not have to be afraid of the Cold Blood Hall people in the formation. Lu Ming's body flashed, and at least 7 or 8 spiritual herbs went into Lu Ming's pocket. These good-for-nothings, damn it. Use the inscription crystal. Shuefeng's killing intent flashed, and a white crystal appeared in his hand. Senior brother Shuefeng, are you going to use the inscription crystal now? Sanguinarum and the others were a little distressed. The major forces had spent a lot of money and prepared many secret treasures for their disciples to enter the Saint Mansion secret realm and obtain opportunities. The inscription crystal was a very rare treasure. Once used, it could freeze the formation and prevent it from exploding. It was most practical for exploring some secret realms. Yes, that mountain is no small matter. There should be some great treasures. Shuefeng clenched his teeth and pinched the inscription crystal. Suddenly, the inscription crystal shattered and turned into a layer of white light, rushing forward. Wherever the white light passed, it seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. All the formations were frozen. It's the inscription crystal. The formation is sealed. Let's go. Whoosh! Whoosh! Those who were forced by the Cold Blood Hall people rose into the air and rushed into the depths of the mountain. You're courting death! The Cold Blood Hall people shouted coldly and chased after those from the smaller forces. A terrible battle broke out in this area. Go to hell, boy! Huang Kuei was the first to rush toward Lu Ming. His blood-red claws clawed at Lu Ming. The claws were as sharp as knives and aimed at Lu Ming's heart. He wanted to suck Lu Ming's blood dry. Boom! Chapter 1069. Lu Ming's slap shook the space violently as if it could suppress the heavens. Before the slap arrived, Huang Kuei felt as if hundreds of mountains were pressing down on him. He could not even breathe. No. At this moment, he was flustered, shocked, and scared. Lu Ming's palm was so big that it covered the sky. He wanted to scream, but he could not. Bang! Lu Ming's slap landed on him. Huang Kuei's body exploded into pieces. This time, everyone was shocked. Huang Kuei was the second genius of Cold Blood Hall, but he was killed by Lu Ming with a single slap. Boy, you have some strength. But how dare you kill a genius of Cold Blood Hall? You're courting death. Sanguinarum roared. He stepped on the air and blood rushed to the sky. He grasped the air and a saber appeared, slashing at Lu Ming. Although Lu Ming had killed Huang Kuei with a single slap, Sanguinarum was still confident that he could kill Lu Ming. Huang Kuei was only a perfected spirit embryo, while he was already a spirit god. He could kill Huang Kuei with a snap of his fingers. He did not believe that Lu Ming, who had appeared out of nowhere, could be his match. Boom! Lu Ming struck again with a slap. Boom! Sanguinarum's saber light was shattered by Lu Ming's slap. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed towards Sanguinarum like a stream of light. Roar! 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 During this process, dragon roars were constantly heard from Lu Ming's body. Dragon power burst out one after another. Soon, 5 streams of dragon power burst out. Now, Lu Ming's body had reached the perfected 9th grade. Even if he used all his dragon power, there would not be scales on his skin. He could control them all. Lu Ming's strength increased sharply as 5 streams of dragon power burst out. He used the heaven-suppressing hell skill and slashed down. Hiss! The space shattered like a rag in Lu Ming's hand. The terrifying power made Sanguinarum shiver all over. Oh no! Sanguinarum was shocked. Blood vessels appeared on top of his head and turned into a blood-winged bat. With a roar, the space surged toward Lu Ming like a wave. However, Lu Ming's palm slashed across, and the sound wave was split into two. A terrifying force erupted and blasted heavily on the blood-winged bat. With a miserable shriek, the blood-winged bat was sent flying, blood splattering everywhere. Everyone was dumbfounded. It was simply unbelievable. Xue Luozi, a second-class prodigy, was sent flying by Lu Ming with one move. His blood splattered across the sky. This was simply unbelievable. Who was this person? He was too terrifying. Previously, when he saw Lu Ming taking part in the screening, he thought that Lu Ming was a weakling. Now, it seemed that Lu Ming had obviously concealed his abilities. His true combat ability was simply terrifying. Kill! Lu Ming stepped in the air and used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. He instantly appeared above the blood-winged bat and stomped his feet. Boom! 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 Ow! Ow! The terrifying power blasted Sanguinarum's body. He spat out a mouthful of blood before his body collapsed and returned to human form. Bang! Lu Ming stomped heavily on Sanguinarum's nose. Sanguinarum's face caved in and smashed into the ground, creating a huge crater. He lay there and spat out blood. Lu Ming's cultivation was at the mid-first level of the spirit god realm, which was slightly higher than Sanguinarum's. In addition, his 5 intents were almost at the 4th level of the spirit god realm. His power was too strong when he used 5 streams of dragon power. Moreover, Lu Ming's heaven-suppressing hell skill had become even more terrifying after reaching the spirit god realm. He could completely crush Sanguinarum without using his bloodline. Stop! Kid, you're courting death! The people of Cold Blood Hall came to their senses and roared as they charged at Lu Ming. Those who dared to charge at Lu Ming were all in their 40s or 50s. They had cultivated for 10 or 20 years, more than Lu Ming and the others. Their cultivation was very high. In an instant, 5 experts charged at Lu Ming. 3 of them were at the 2nd level of the spirit god realm, and 2 were at the 3rd level of the spirit god realm. Kill! Lu Ming shouted as another 2 streams of dragon power erupted. The 9 dragons' bloodline was at the 7th level of the divine realm. There were a total of 7 streams of dragon power. Lu Ming's power was extremely strong. He struck out with his palm, shaking heaven and earth and shattering the space. Bang! 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 In an instant, Lu Ming struck out 5 palms and clashed with each of the 5 experts. Bang! 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 The 3 strong men at the 2nd level of the spirit god realm screamed as their bodies exploded. They were killed in one move. The 2 experts at the 3rd level of the spirit god realm were also seriously injured. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and retreated rapidly with fear in their eyes. The eyes of the people from the small forces, almost popped out of their sockets. They had thought that Lu Ming was a weakling, but now they knew that he was a demon king. However, they were overjoyed. The stronger Lu Ming was, the better it would be for them. Only then would they have a chance to escape from Cold Blood Hall's clutches. Devour! Lu Ming clenched his left hand, and the devouring power erupted. The blood essence of the 3 experts at the 1st level of the spirit god realm were all devoured by Lu Ming. Lu Shaoqing, you're Lu Shaoqing! Sanguinarum, who was still alive, shouted. He had fought with Lu Ming before and recognized the devouring power. What? He's Lu Shaoqing? Those who had heard of Lu Shaoqing were shocked. Kill! Lu Ming stepped into the air and charged at the 2 injured experts at the 3rd level of the spirit god realm. The 2 of them were horrified. They retreated at high speed, but their speed could not be compared to Lu Ming's. Lu Ming's body was like a stream of light, closing in on them at high speed. His palms crushed the void and struck the 2 of them. The 2 tried their best to resist, but it was useless. Their arms exploded and their chests caved in. They spat out mouthfuls of blood and were on the verge of death. "Bastard, you're courting death!" Xue Feng roared. The other experts also roared and charged at Lu Ming. There were hundreds of people from Cold Blood Hall. Most of them were middle-aged strong men with strong cultivation and amazing battle strength. Xue Feng was the most terrifying. He flashed like a ray of bloodlight and appeared in front of Lu Ming in an instant. He punched at Lu Ming. Endless blood light flashed and filled the air, pressing down on Lu Ming. This attack was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming's expression changed, and he also punched out. When the two fists collided, Lu Ming's body shook violently and was blasted away like a cannonball. He flew back 10,000 meters and smashed a first-level spirit god expert. What a strong battle strength! Lu Ming felt his fists go numb and his qi and blood surge. He was a little shocked. Xue Feng's strength was beyond his imagination. No wonder he was the top genius of Cold Blood Hall. How dare you kill our experts? No one can save you today. Xue Feng's killing intent surged toward Lu Ming. Around him, bloodlight flashed as other experts charged at Lu Ming. "Die, Lu Shaoqing, die!" At this moment, Xue Luozi had already struggled to get up. He glared at Lu Ming, his eyes almost spitting fire. He was actually tortured so badly by Lu Ming. His nose bridge had been stepped on by Lu Ming, and it was deeply indented. It was beyond recognition. Chapter 1070. Kill! Xue Feng was still the fastest as he arrived first. His fists were like blood diamonds that flickered with a crystalline luster. With a punch, the space was directly shattered. It was extremely terrifying. Fourth level spirit god. Lu Ming's eyes were solemn. Xue Feng's cultivation should be at the fourth level of the spirit god realm, and he was a very powerful genius with unparalleled combat strength. Lu Ming's body was surrounded by 5 colored wills, which increased the power of the hell-suppressing heaven skill. He met Xue Feng's fists with fists and punched several times in succession. Boom! Boom! The two fists collided and the sky shook as if two gods were fighting. Then Lu Ming was sent flying again and retreated far away. Looks like I have to use my third bloodline. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Xue Feng was too powerful. Even if his talent wasn't as high as Sanguinarum's, it wasn't lower than Huang Kuei's. He should have awakened a 7th-level divine bloodline and should have been a 3rd-grade genius when he was young. If they were at the same level, Lu Ming could kill such a genius with a flip of his hand. However, Xue Feng's cultivation was too high. He was at the 4th level of the spirit god realm, which was 3 levels higher than Lu Ming. Every level in the spirit god realm was a huge gap that was difficult to make up for, not to mention a gap of 3 levels. Moreover, Xue Feng was a top genius. Kill! Kill! 3 strong men pounced at the same time. Powerful auras filled the air. They were all at the 3rd level of the spirit god realm, and they were a level higher than the previous 2. Bang! 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 Lu Ming punched out and exchanged 3 blows with the 3 men. The 4 of them retreated at the same time. Xue Feng charged at him from behind. Buzz! At this moment, the mountain in the distance shook and a bright light filled the air, shocking everyone. That's a door! Someone exclaimed. Everyone saw a door of light appear at the top of the mountain. It was sparkling and resplendent, and it emitted a dazzling light. Treasure! It must be a peerless treasure. Charge! Some people from small forces exclaimed, and then charged towards the mountain with blazing light. Don't even think about it. Some people from Cold Blood Hall also charged over. Brat, consider yourself lucky. Xue Feng fiercely glared at Lu Ming, then put down Lu Ming and rushed towards the mountain peak. Although Xue Feng's battle prowess was strong, Lu Ming's battle prowess had also exceeded his expectations. If he wanted to kill Lu Ming in a few moves, it would be very difficult. If the treasures were taken away by those small forces, then the losses would outweigh the gains, so he quickly rushed over. Charge! The rest of the Cold Blood Hall also rushed over. Sanguinarum glared coldly at Lu Ming before he chased after the Cold Blood Hall members. "How can I leave when there are treasures here?" Lu Ming smiled and rushed over as well. Although Xue Feng was strong, he still had a trump card he hadn't used yet. If he used it, escaping wouldn't be a problem. Thus, Lu Ming didn't fear him at all. Whoosh! Whoosh! The sound of something tearing through the air could be heard as the group flew forward. After flying for a while, they realized that there was no formation in front of them. That can't be a herb garden, can it? Lu Ming looked back. The territory they had just seen looked like a herb garden, so there was an inscription formation protecting it. As they continued forward, a huge group of palaces appeared in front of them. The group of palaces seemed to cover a large area, but they were very old and full of the aura of time. Many places had collapsed. The mountain was right in the middle of the group of palaces. It looked as if the mountain had fallen from the sky and smashed into the center of the group of palaces, crushing a large area of them. At this time, the light gate on the mountain was even more dazzling. One could vaguely see a jade talisman floating in the light gate. The light gate was a vision formed by the light emitted by the jade talisman. Treasure! It's definitely a treasure. Someone shouted greedily and rushed toward the group of palaces. "Get out of my way, a bunch of ants. You're courting death." Xue Feng roared angrily and continuously punched. The fist radiance broke through the air, and a dozen warriors screamed as they were killed. The others were shocked and kept a distance from Xue Feng. However, there were many people from the other forces, and some of them were experts. After avoiding Xue Feng, they didn't give up and continued to rush forward. Hundreds of people rushed toward the mountain. Lu Ming followed at a steady pace. The group of palaces was not dangerous, and there were no formations. They flew smoothly and arrived at the mountain. This mountain looked like a tiger lying there. It looked very lifelike, as if it had been carved out of a huge rock. On the top of the mountain, there were strange lines protruding like petrified tree roots. What a strange shape! What a strange mountain! But there was no time to think. Everyone stared at the light gate and the jade talisman. The jade talisman was above the tiger's head. As the crowd flew toward the mountain, a fierce battle broke out. The experts of Cold Blood Hall were extremely domineering. They killed those from the smaller forces. Suddenly, a large number of experts were killed, and the mountain was stained with blood. No one noticed that the blood scattered on the mountain directly seeped into the mountain and disappeared, as if it had been swallowed up. Now's the time! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and turned into a flowing light. In an instant, he surpassed the experts of Cold Blood Hall and rushed toward the light gate. "Boy, how dare you come again? You're courting death." Xue Feng roared and threw punches at Lu Ming. Fist radiance blasted toward him. Lu Ming took a few steps, and his figure flashed, avoiding the fist gleams. "Let's attack together and kill him." Sanguinarum shouted and ordered the crowd to surround and kill Lu Ming. "Kill! Kill! Kill!" Some people from Cold Blood Hall rushed toward Lu Ming, while others continued to rush toward the light gate. At this time, dozens of people from the smaller forces had been killed. The rest of them were terrified and did not dare to fight anymore. They desperately retreated. Cold Blood Hall was completely in control of the battle. Xue Feng was the fastest. Seeing that he was about to reach the light gate, his eyes burned with passion. This jade talisman was definitely a precious treasure. Perhaps it was a powerful inheritance. Whoosh! At this moment, a black light shot out from the mountain and swept toward Xue Feng. Xue Feng was shocked. He threw out a series of punches to block the black light. "A tree root? No, it's a vine." Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He found that it was a vine that attacked Xue Feng. "Who dares to stop me? You're courting death." Xue Feng roared and threw out a series of punches. He wanted to crush everything. At this time, Lu Ming had already exchanged more than a dozen blows with the people from Cold Blood Hall. There were more than a dozen people besieging Lu Ming, including several powerful experts. Buzz! Buzz! Blood light filled the air as the Cold Blood Hall experts unleashed their bloodlines. 3 of them had level 5 divine bloodline and were at LV3 Spirit God Realm. They were the strongest and had amazing battle strength. These 3 were the main force against Lu Ming. The rest of them had level 4 and level 3 divine bloodlines. Their cultivation ranged from the 2nd to the 3rd level of the Spirit God Realm. They were the elites of the Cold Blood Hall and had powerful combat strength. However, Lu Ming could handle them easily. The main force was the 3 experts with level 5 divine bloodline. Chapter 1071. I'll send you to hell. Lu Ming went all out. A drop of blood appeared on top of his head. It was the 3rd bloodline. As the 3rd bloodline appeared, a trace of energy poured into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body suddenly exploded with a shocking killing intent. Lu Ming's black hair turned blood red in an instant. His eyes were like blood-red rubies, filled with terrifying, murderous intent. Kill! After borrowing a trace of the 3rd bloodline's energy, Lu Ming's strength increased tremendously. He struck out with his palm, and the battle saber in the hands of a level 5 divine bloodline expert with a 3rd level spirit god shattered. His body exploded after being struck by Lu Ming's palm. Clang! Above his head, the 3rd bloodline twisted and turned into a blood-red battle sword. Lu Ming held it in his hand. His murderous intent grew stronger. The terrifying murderous intent shrouded the dozen or so experts of Cold Blood Hall, making them shudder from head to toe. Swish! With a flash of blood-red light, the blood-red sword cut through the void. Puff! A few domain enlightened spirit god realm experts were slashed into 2 by a single sword strike, and they perished successively. This included an expert at the 3rd level of the domain enlightened spirit god realm who had awakened a 5th level divine rank bloodline. Ah! The rest of them screamed in fear and frantically retreated to distance themselves from Lu Ming. How could this be? Not far away, Xue Feng, Sanguinarum, and the others' eyes almost popped out when they saw the scene. How could Lu Ming be so terrifying? His combat strength was too shocking. Lu Ming could even kill a level 3 spiritual god expert in seconds. Kill! Lu Ming's eyes were cold, and his killing intent was like a tide. Holding his sword, he charged toward the Cold Blood Hall experts like a killing god. With a swing of his sword, a few more heads flew high into the air. Devour! Then he clenched his left hand, and the power of devouring erupted. He wanted to devour the blood essence and genuine vitality of the Cold Blood Hall experts. But in the next moment, Lu Ming was surprised, because he found that there was also a powerful force in the mountain that was devouring the blood of the Cold Blood Hall experts. Lu Ming was a step too late. He only managed to devour a small amount. The mountain devoured most of the blood. What happened? Before Lu Ming could react, banging sounds came from the mountain. The protrusions on the mountain that looked like tree roots suddenly moved. The rocks exploded and turned into vines that shot towards Lu Ming and the others. Suddenly, shrill screams were heard. Some of the Cold Blood Hall members could not dodge in time and were pierced by the vines. Their bodies shriveled at a speed visible to the naked eye. The vines kept wriggling like straws, absorbing the blood. Vampiric vine. This is the legendary vampiric vine. Some disciples of Cold Blood Hall exclaimed, "It's the vampiric vine." Lu Ming was also secretly shocked. As it turned out, the protruding vines on the mountain were actually the vines of the vampiric vine. Due to the passage of time, the vines were covered with a layer of soil, and the soil had turned into rocks. That was why everyone thought that the vines were rocks. Unexpectedly, it was the vampiric vine. The vampiric vine was a terrifying creature. It had appeared in ancient times and was almost extinct in modern times. Every time it appeared, it would cause a catastrophe and a storm of blood. This was because the vampiric vine could continuously devour blood. As long as it did so, its strength would continue to evolve. It was truly terrifying. Many of the disciples of Cold-Blood Hall turned pale with fear. Swoosh! Swoosh! The vines waved in the air, some of them even thicker than a person. They were incomparably huge and charged towards the crowd. The disciples of Cold-Blood Hall were constantly killed and their blood sucked dry. Among them, Xue Feng suffered the most attacks. Several thick vines besieged Xue Feng because he had the strongest blood qi. Damn it! A blood leopard appeared above Xue Feng's head. There were 7 golden chakras on its body. Xue Feng had the bloodline of a level 7 divine realm. As he transformed into a blood leopard, his battle strength was astonishing. The blood leopard clawed out with its claws, causing several spatial cracks to appear in the air. Several other vampiric vines were also severely injured. Lu Ming was also attacked by 2 vines. With a slash of his blood-red sword light, one of the vines was chopped off. This vampiric vine has just awakened. Its battle strength is not strong. Let's work together and kill it, Xue Feng shouted. Kill! All the experts of Cold-Blood Hall who had awakened their bloodlines unleashed their bloodlines and attacked the vines together. Boom! Boom! Powerful qi blasted out, causing a series of explosions. The blood-red vines exploded one by one and were broken. Some of the qi blasted onto the mountain, causing rocks to fly everywhere. That's when the rocks on the mountain exploded. Everyone was shocked to find that there were hairs under the rocks. There was flesh and blood underneath. That's a demonic beast. At this moment, everyone understood. This tiger-shaped mountain wasn't actually a mountain. It was clearly a gigantic demonic beast in the shape of a tiger. From the looks of it, the tiger-shaped demonic beast and the vampiric vine had fought a great battle. In the end, both sides suffered great losses. The tiger-shaped demonic beast was killed and smashed into the palaces, while the vampiric vine was severely injured and on the verge of death. After a long time, a layer of rock had covered its body, making it look like a mountain peak. But now, stimulated by fresh blood, the vampiric vine had awakened. Go get the jade talisman and leave this place, Xue Feng shouted. This was a bloodthirsty vine that had lived for who knew how long. After being sealed for so many years, it was still able to awaken. This was too shocking, and it caused the hearts of those who saw it to tremble. Xue Feng had a bad feeling about this. He did not dare to stay any longer. He wanted to get the jade talisman and leave this place as soon as possible. Squeak, squeak! At this moment, an ear-piercing sound rang out. Boom! The mountain shook. At the highest point of the mountain, a huge protrusion shook, causing rocks to explode. That was the main body of the vampiric vine. The vampiric vine was about to fully awaken. What moved just now was only its vines. Just like an octopus, only its tentacles moved. Now the main body was about to awaken. Xue Feng transformed into a blood leopard and pounced, blocking many of the vines. The other Cold-Blood Hall disciples rushed toward the jade talisman. Whoosh! Lu Ming chopped down a vine with his sword. He then used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping step and rushed toward the jade talisman. Die! Xue Feng's blood sword slashed across the sky, cutting a dozen Cold-Blood Hall experts in half. Bastard, I'll kill you! Xue Feng roared, his eyes red. So many experts had been killed by Lu Ming. He wanted to vomit blood. Unfortunately, he was facing a pile of rot tan alone and couldn't get away at all. Today, it's your Cold-Blood Hall who will die. Lu Ming said coldly. He charged forward and killed a few more people. Damn you, Lu Shaoqing! In front, Sanguinarum was terrified. He gritted his teeth and rushed toward the jade talisman. He was only a few dozen meters away from the jade talisman, but at this moment, a few vines rushed out from the ground and whipped toward him. Damn it! He roared angrily. He was blocked. Bam! Bam! Rocks exploded. More vines appeared around the jade talisman, blocking all the Cold-Blood Hall experts. Lu Ming, give me the jade talisman. Dandan transmitted to Lu Ming. Okay. Lu Ming grabbed Dandan and threw it toward the jade talisman. Lu Ming stared at Sanguinarum. Chapter 1072. Damn it! Stop him! Sanguinarum was shocked. He quickly retreated and hid behind the other Cold Blood Hall experts. Lu Ming dashed forward and swept his battle sword. The experts of Cold Blood Hall were killed one by one. Of course, not all of them were in the spiritual embryo realm. Many of them were in the spiritual embryo realm. They could not stop Lu Ming at all. Lu Ming appeared in front of Xue Luozi in an instant. No, no, Sanguinarum shouted. He wanted to escape, but Lu Ming's sword cut Sanguinarum in half. Lu Ming frowned. He saw a ball of white light wrapped around Sanguinarum's body and flew into the sky. In the next moment, Sanguinarum's body reformed. He was not dead, but his eyes were full of resentment. Lu Shaoqing, Cold Blood Hall will not let you go. With a loud roar, Xue Luozi disappeared in a flash of white light. Life talisman, Lu Ming whispered. He had heard that the strongest geniuses of the various forces had life talismans of the Saint Mansion. Even if they died, they could be resurrected outside. It seemed to be true. Amazing! Lu Ming sighed. The life talisman had merged with the rules of heaven and earth of this secret realm. As long as one wore the life talisman, they could not be killed. Lu Ming felt that it was a pity. However, the others from Cold Blood Hall did not receive such treatment. If they died, they would die for real. Dandan rushed toward the jade talisman. At least a dozen vines whipped at it. Dandan stepped on the void and an inscription formation appeared. Its body flashed in the air and avoided the vines. It rushed past them and appeared in front of the jade talisman. It grabbed the jade talisman and stuffed it into its mouth. "Let's go, we got it!" Dandan yelled and ran forward like a madwoman. Squeak, squeak, squeak! At this moment, an ear-piercing sound resounded through the air. Rocks and boulders exploded as the main body of the vampiric vine woke up and let out an enraged roar. It was something that looked like a tree bump. It looked like a bunch of tree roots, and countless vines extended from it. Countless vines danced and howled. In an instant, dozens of Cold Blood Hall disciples in the spirit embryo realm were killed by the vines, and their blood was devoured. After devouring the blood, the vampiric vine's aura grew even stronger. "Let's go, let's go!" Xue Feng roared and waved his claws, breaking several vines as he rushed forward. The remaining Cold Blood Hall disciples also fled for their lives. The Dandan was extremely agile. Its inscriptions shone, and the vines could not catch it. Lu Ming stepped into the air and flew towards Dandan. Whoosh! Dandan jumped onto Lu Ming's shoulder and shouted, "Let's go, let's go!" That was because the vampiric vine had locked onto them and was chasing after Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and was astonishingly fast. With a flash of light, he disappeared into the distance. In all directions, the people from the small forces and the remaining Cold Blood Hall experts took the opportunity to flee. After running for tens of thousands of miles, the people of Cold Blood Hall rushed out of the area covered by the light shield. Without the suppression of the light shield, their speed skyrocketed. They turned into streaks of bloody light and disappeared. They only stopped after rushing for tens of thousands of miles. Then they looked at each other. "Lu Shaoqing, damn you!" Xue Feng almost vomited blood as he roared with red eyes. Tragic, too tragic. Hundreds of people from Cold Blood Hall had entered. But now, there were less than 100 left. At least 200 people had died. Most of them were at the spirit embryo realm, but there were many domain enlightened spirit god realm experts as well. Most importantly, almost all of the 10 strongest people in the younger generation of Cold Blood Hall were dead. Only 2 of them were left, and Sanguinarum was still alive due to the protection of the life talisman. It was too tragic. The losses were incomparably heavy. Among them, there were more than a dozen spirit god experts killed by Lu Ming. Even the overlords did not have many spirit god experts. More than half of Cold Blood Hall's geniuses from the previous generation were killed by Lu Ming. Lu Shaoqing, if I don't kill you, I swear I'm not human. Xue Feng roared, his voice echoing for hundreds of miles. Lu Ming sprinted madly. Tens of thousands of miles later, he was finally out of the range of the light barrier. His speed had increased tremendously, but behind him, the vampiric vine was still chasing after him. Lu Ming spared no effort and flew for hundreds of thousands of miles before he managed to shake off the vampiric vine. This guy is really difficult to deal with. After finding a secluded place, Lu Ming entered the mountain-river diagram. He took a deep breath and began to refine the energy of the blood essence that he had devoured. World Academy, outside the Jade Wall of All. Suddenly, the space trembled and a ray of light flashed. Sanguinarum's body appeared. Instantly, everyone's eyes fell on Sanguinarum. Sanguinarum was dead. Everyone knew that Sanguinarum had died in the battle. He had only survived because of the life charm. He was the first genius who had died in battle with a life charm. Sanguinarum, what happened? Asked an elder from Cold Blood Hall. He was a supreme master from Cold Blood Hall. The others also looked at Sanguinarum curiously. They were curious about what had happened. Sanguinarum had died in battle. Lu Shaoqing, it's Lu Shaoqing! Sanguinarum roared bitterly and then briefly explained what had happened. What? It's that weakling. After hearing this, everyone was shocked. Many people were dumbfounded. Lu Ming had attracted a lot of attention when he passed the Heavenly Market Cave. However, Lu Ming's results in the later selection were too poor. Many people thought that Lu Ming was just a weakling who had passed the Heavenly Market Cave by luck. However, after hearing Sanguinarum's story, many people were scared. How was he a weakling? He was clearly a killing god in Azura. That guy was just pretending to be weak. That's right. He's too despicable. He must have hidden his strength. I've heard of Lu Shaoqing. He appeared in Pill City before. That time he defeated Sanguinarum. He's a genius who came out of nowhere. Haha. Cold Blood Hall has suffered a great loss this time. They actually chose a killing god to go in with them. Many people discussed loudly. Some of the overlords were not afraid of Cold Blood Hall at all. They looked at Cold Blood Hall with contempt, such as Sky Eagle Castle and Floating Mountain. Cold Blood Hall's people were so angry that their lungs hurt and they had the urge to vomit blood. Sanguinarum, in particular, was so angry that his stomach hurt. This was because he was the one who had chosen Lu Ming. Lu Ming had dared to not give up the quota for the marrow cleansing pool to him and even mocked him. He had planned to make Lu Ming regret in the Saint Mansion secret realm. He never expected that he would bring a killing god with him. If not for Lu Ming, they would not have been so miserable facing the bloodthirsty vines. He had only himself to blame. I hope Xue Feng can kill that bastard. Cold Blood Hall's people secretly gritted their teeth, hoping that Xue Feng could kill Lu Ming. In the Saint Mansion's secret realm, Lu Ming was refining the essence blood with all his might. After a few hours, the essence blood's energy was completely refined. Lu Ming's cultivation increased rapidly, reaching the peak of first-level spirit god in one go. However, his bloodline did not improve. Now that both of Lu Ming's bloodlines were at level 7 divine level, it was very difficult to improve them. He needed a huge amount of essence blood. It's a pity that a large part of the blood essence has been devoured by the bloodthirsty vines. Otherwise, with so many experts' energy, it would be enough for me to break through to second-level spirit god. Lu Ming felt that it was a pity. It's still not safe here. The bloodthirsty vines are ancient evil creatures. Once they're born, they'll go berserk and their strength will skyrocket. I'd better stay away from them first. After leaving the mountain-river diagram, Lu Ming flew into the distance. Chapter 1073. Lu Ming stopped at this point. He was far enough away that the vampiric vine shouldn't be able to catch up to him. Dandan, what kind of treasure is that jade talisman? Lu Ming asked Dandan curiously. Take a look for yourself. Dandan opened his mouth, and the jade talisman flew out. Lu Ming caught it. Dandan wasn't interested in anything that wasn't related to spiritual herbs. Dandan, your strength has improved a lot recently. Lu Ming said. Dandan was able to snatch the jade talisman from the vampiric vine and escape with ease. Lu Ming was very curious about its strength. Of course, that's why I asked you to give me more spiritual herbs. Also, I swallowed some lightning tribulation when you were transcending your tribulation. That thing is very nourishing and helped me recover a lot. Dandan said proudly, Heavenly tribulation is very nourishing. Lu Ming was speechless. This guy was really mysterious. When the lightning cauldron was transcending its tribulation, this guy swallowed the heavenly tribulation in one gulp. At that time it was still an egg. How is it? Have you been subdued by my godly might? Follow me and serve me well in the future. You'll have a good life ahead of you. Dandan said proudly. It had already started to feel complacent. Go in. Lu Ming grabbed Dandan and stuffed him into the mountain-river diagram. Then he looked at the jade talisman in his hand and scanned it with his spiritual sense. After breaking through to the spirit god realm and condensing a spirit god, one would be able to develop spiritual sense. It was more useful than the eyes and could sense everything. In the next moment, Lu Ming's face lit up with joy. The 9 seals of the divine gate is a type of sealing technique. It's a powerful secret technique. Lu Ming muttered to himself. The more he comprehended it, the more surprised he became. The 9 seals of the divine gate was a technique that could be used to condense the door of sealing and seal the opponent. When cultivated to a high level, it was said to be able to seal the heavens, earth, people, and everything. It was extremely terrifying. Amazing, too amazing. The more Lu Ming comprehended, the more amazed he became. He discovered the power of the Divine Gate 9 seals. This was a terrifying secret technique that had been left behind by an emperor in the Saint Mansion's secret realm countless years ago. It had been lost in the outside world for countless years. Lu Ming simply found a hidden place and entered the mountain and river diagram. He sat cross-legged under the tree of enlightenment and carefully comprehended. Now, the Tao Comprehension Ancient Tree already produced 3 leaves, becoming more and more unordinary. Great Tao aura curled up around it. When one sat on the side, they could enter an ethereal state. Lu Ming was completely focused on comprehending the 9 seals of the God Gate. Gradually, a mysterious light began to emanate from his body. As time passed, the light began to condense, transforming into a glowing door. It was like a door leading to the eternal unknown. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suddenly, Lu Ming's hands formed a series of hand seals at extreme speed. A light gate condensed and flew towards Dandan. The light gate shone brightly, enveloping Dandan within. Nestling, what are you doing? Dandan's limbs flailed wildly as if it was being suppressed. Only when Dandan's body glowed brightly and inscribed various formations did it manage to escape. Not bad. Lu Ming smiled. Even the vampiric vine couldn't stop Dandan from escaping. Its ability to escape was unfathomable and slippery. However, even Dandan was careless and was suppressed by the gate of sealing for a moment. Lu Ming was very satisfied with the power of the gate of sealing. If it were anyone else, they would definitely be suppressed by the gate of sealing. In a battle between experts, even if one was sealed for a moment, it could determine life and death. Moreover, as Lu Ming's cultivation increased, the power of the gate of sealing would also increase. It could be used as one of Lu Ming's trump cards, especially since Lu Ming had just started cultivating. He could only cultivate 1 gate of sealing. The 9 seals of the God Gate, when cultivated to the highest level, could cultivate 9 gates of sealing. That was truly terrifying. With each additional gate of sealing, the power of the gate of sealing would multiply. I've already wasted 3 days. I can't waste any more time. It's rare for me to enter the Saint Mansion secret realm. I can't waste it. With a thought, Lu Ming came out of the mountain river map. He randomly chose a direction and flew forward. Dandan also climbed onto Lu Ming's shoulder and looked around for spiritual herbs. Roar! On a mountain peak in front of him, a giant wolf appeared. It was as big as a mountain, and its entire body was silvery white. It raised its head and howled, causing the entire mountain range to shake violently. So powerful! Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. He retracted his aura and landed on a mountain range below to observe from afar. Rumble! Suddenly, the mountain range below Lu Ming's feet moved violently, and then it floated in the air and flew toward the giant wolf. Nestle! Lu Ming realized that the mountain range below his feet was not a mountain range, but a giant snake. The giant snake was as big as a mountain, and its body was covered with mud, rocks, and trees. It lay there motionlessly like a mountain range. Titan giant snake? No. Even if it's not a pure-blooded Titan giant snake, it's close. Lu Ming wailed and hurriedly flew to the side. Fortunately, the giant snake only had eyes for the giant silver wolf and did not pay attention to Lu Ming. Roar! The giant silver wolf roared, and with a stomp of its foot, the mountain peak below it shattered. Its huge body pounced on the giant snake. The two behemoths fought fiercely, and for a moment, heaven and earth shook and the mountain peaks shattered. What a powerful, vicious beast! This is definitely not a force from the outside world, but a powerful, vicious beast born and bred in the Saint Mansion's secret realm. Lu Ming avoided them from afar, not daring to get close. These two beasts were definitely at the high-level spiritual god realm, and they were extremely terrifying. This secret realm is very dangerous. Previously, I encountered the bloodthirsty vine, and now I have to be careful. Lu Ming concealed his aura and flew carefully. Not long after, he saw a few saber marks on a cliff. He carefully sensed them and found that they were left by a peerless expert. If a saber practitioner carefully comprehended them, they would definitely be enlightened. Rumor has it that 30,000 years ago, a supreme expert came here to cultivate. These saber marks are probably left behind by an expert who comprehended something during his cultivation. Lu Ming guessed. If so, there would be many such marks in the secret realm. If he could find the right one, it would be a great opportunity. Lu Ming did not stay long because he did not practice saber, and the marks did not fit him. Along the way, he found many spiritual herbs. Lu Ming only kept a few and gave the rest to Dandan. There's someone ahead. A day later, Lu Ming saw a figure flying in front of him. It was not someone from Cold Blood Hall, but someone from another force. When entering the Saint Mansion's secret realm, there were 9 light pillars that entered 9 different areas. However, these 9 areas were connected and were all in the same secret realm. The major forces began to enter separately to avoid disputes. However, as time passed, the people in the 9 areas would definitely encounter each other. Lu Ming guessed that he had already arrived at another area. Lu Ming flew forward and saw many people gathered under a stone wall, carefully observing and comprehending. Chapter 1074. Lu Ming pondered for a while and realized that it was not useful to him. Just as he was about to leave, "Get lost!" Suddenly, a loud roar could be heard. A young man in white with a long sword on his back came from the sky. A terrifying sword aura emanated from his body and pressed down on the crowd. Wu Tsang! Sky Martial Sword Faction, Wu Tsang! Many people were shocked. Sky Martial Sword Faction was extremely prosperous. It was one of the top factions in the Middle Continent. Not many factions could compare to it. In this generation, the Sky Martial Sword Sect was also filled with geniuses. Just in terms of grade 2 geniuses alone, there were already 2 of them, Wu Qingkong and Wu Tsang. Wu Qingkong was the number 1 elite of Sky Martial Sword Faction, while Wu Tsang was ranked 2nd. Although he was ranked 2nd, he was as strong as Yin Bupo and Junyu. With 2 elite elites in this generation, Sky Martial Sword Faction's reputation was at its peak. Get lost. I want this place. Wu Tsang looked down from above. Many people gritted their teeth. This place was huge. Wu Tsang could have chosen a place to comprehend, but he chased them away. Although they were angry, they did not dare to voice it out. They could only leave. Many people had gained some insights, but they had no choice but to stop and leave this place. You're still not leaving? Wu Tsang looked at Lu Ming with a piercing gaze. Lu Ming looked calm. He glanced at Wu Tsang and left. This place was useless to him. He had already planned to leave, so there was no need to fight with Wu Tsang. Sky Martial Sword Faction is really overbearing. Keep it down. Many elites have entered Sky Martial Sword Faction. The previous generation's #1 elite is also here. Although his talent is not as good as Wu Tsang and Wu Qingkong, he has cultivated for more than 10 years. His combat strength is terrifying. We'd better not offend them. Some people discussed in low voices as they left the place. Lu Ming headed north and soon appeared 10,000 miles away. Caw! A bird's cry resounded through the sky. A huge eagle soared through the sky, covering the sky and covering the sun. What a powerful aura! This was also a powerful beast. It was the overlord of this secret realm. The giant eagle flew to a cliff in front of them and landed. Lu Ming realized that there was a nest on the cliff. That is, from a distance, Lu Ming discovered that there was a strange aura on the cliff. There were vague marks on it that looked like a human figure. There are traces left behind by supreme experts. I wonder if they will be of any use to me. Lu Ming carefully approached the eagle's nest and waited patiently. This wait lasted for an entire day. The next day, the giant eagle let out a long cry, spread its wings, and flew away from its nest. After the giant eagle left, Lu Ming rushed down the cliff to take a closer look. There was really a figure carved on the cliff. This figure seemed to be launching an attack. Boom! Boom! Upon closer inspection, the figure seemed to have moved. A terrifying killing intent exploded out, enveloping Lu Ming. Kill! With an explosive roar, that figure sent a palm strike towards Lu Ming. A terrifying killing intent enveloped Lu Ming, causing his entire body to turn cold. He couldn't even muster up the will to resist. The palm strike directly landed on his body. Lu Ming was shocked. He took several steps back, only to realize that everything was an illusion. So powerful! Lu Ming let out a long breath. He was a little shocked, but also a little excited. This was a martial technique that was extremely powerful. It contained killing intent and could even affect one's mind. Lu Ming activated his third bloodline and could borrow the powerful slaughter intent. This martial technique was just right for Lu Ming. Let's try to comprehend it here and see if I can comprehend this martial technique. Lu Ming stepped forward and observed carefully. Lu Ming guarded his heart and remained motionless. Whoosh! This time it wasn't a palm strike. A sword appeared in the figure's hand, and it slashed out. Lu Ming remained motionless, allowing the battle sword to slash past him. As expected, the battle sword was like an illusion. After slashing past, the figure executed another move. This time, it turned into a saber. Whoosh! Whoosh! This figure moved freely, executing all kinds of attacks. The weapon in its hand was also unpredictable. What a mysterious martial technique! Lu Ming looked at it for a while and finally figured out something. This martial technique didn't have a fixed move. In other words, the move was only the surface. The key was the intent. Once one comprehended the intent of this martial technique, any weapon would be able to unleash great power. This was a killing move that was specially created to kill people. Its power was extremely strong. Lu Ming sat cross-legged in the air, carefully comprehending and studying. In the evening, a cry resounded in the sky. The giant eagle had returned. Lu Ming left and sat cross-legged not far away to continue comprehending. After the giant eagle left the next day, Lu Ming returned to the cliff and continued to comprehend. Brett, get lost! Suddenly a loud roar was heard, interrupting Lu Ming's comprehension. Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly as he turned around. Wu Tsang, it was that person again. Now he had his eyes on this cliff. Get lost! A cold shout came from Lu Ming. Wu Tsang was stunned. He obviously didn't expect Lu Ming to tell him to get lost. Then Wu Tsang's eyes revealed a trace of killing intent as he stared at Lu Ming. Brett, do you know who you are talking to? If you say the wrong thing, you will pay with your life. Get lost. Lu Ming's voice was even colder when he said the second word. You are courting death. Wu Tsang shouted coldly as his sword chi surged. He slashed out with his palm, and a terrifying sword radiance slashed down at Lu Ming. Lu Ming casually waved his hand and deflected the sword radiance. He got up and stepped towards Wu Tsang. You have some skills, but you are wrong to be so arrogant in front of me. Wu Tsang shouted as he unsheathed his sword. The sword's cry shook the sky. Swoosh! The sword cut through the void, creating a terrifying crack in space. Roar, roar, roar. A dragon's roar came from Lu Ming's body as the dragon power erupted. Lu Ming's body was covered in purple light. With a palm strike, Wu Tsang's sword chi was shattered. Lu Ming didn't stop and continued towards Wu Tsang. Wu Tsang was shocked and in disbelief. Lu Ming's combat strength was far beyond his imagination. Where did this expert come from? Without time to think, Wu Tsang quickly retreated. A bloodline sword appeared above his head. It was a level 8 divine grade bloodline. He performed bloodline fusion and turned into a battle sword. He slashed out a shocking sword radiance, wanting to split Lu Ming in half. Clang! Lu Ming clenched his fist and activated the suppressing hell skill. He struck out with a terrifying force on the sword radiance. The battle sword shook violently and almost collapsed as it was sent flying far away. Swoosh! Lu Ming stepped forward and threw out a punch. The battle sword shook violently and was sent flying tens of thousands of meters away, splitting 2 mountains. Run, run! Wu Tsang was horrified. He controlled the battle sword and turned to run. Lu Ming stepped into the air and chased after Wu Tsang. Wu Tsang turned into a sword radiance and flew out a few hundred miles in an instant. However, Lu Ming was even faster. Wu Tsang was almost scared out of his wits. Stop! I am a disciple of the Sky Martial Sword Sect. If you dare to attack me again, you will be an enemy of the Sky Martial Sword Sect. Chapter 1075. Lu Ming sneered and continued to step forward. He clenched his fist and punched out. There was no doubt that Lu Ming had unleashed the power of 7 dragons and activated the heaven-suppressing art. Coupled with the 5-color concept, his power was terrifying. Clang! Another punch landed on the sword. This time, Wu Tsang could not resist it anymore. The sword exploded, revealing his true body. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fled frantically. Oh my God, who is that? It looks like Wu Tsang. Yes, it's him. He's actually running away and being chased. Who's so powerful to be able to chase after Wu Tsang? Isn't that the weakling? He's chasing after Wu Tsang. He's so terrifying. He just defeated Wu Tsang's bloodline fusion with 1 punch. What weakling? He's clearly a rare genius with unparalleled combat strength. He's too strong. No wonder he could pass the heavenly market cave. Not far away, 5 or 6 people passed by. When they saw this scene, they were dumbfounded. Wu Tsang did not know Lu Ming because he was not there when he went through the heavenly market cave. He only arrived after the secret manual of the Saint's Mansion was opened. However, those who passed by recognized Lu Ming. Back then, they also thought that Lu Ming was lucky to pass the heavenly market cave. Now they were really shocked and thought that they were dreaming. Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps and was astonishingly fast. He caught up with Wu Tsang in a few moments and punched out again. No, Wu Tsang roared and tried his best to resist, but half of his body was still shattered by the punch. Bang! Then Lu Ming stomped his foot. Wu Tsang screamed and was torn into pieces. Another second-class prodigy had been killed. However, just like Shuai Luozi, after Wu Tsang was killed, another ray of white light shrouded him. Not far away, his body actually condensed again. He gave Lu Ming a resentful look. Then, with a tremor, he disappeared without a trace. Life talismans again. Lu Ming frowned. These second-class geniuses all had the potential to become rulers. The major forces valued them very much and spent a lot of money to buy life talismans from the World Academy. Almost all the second-class prodigies had one. Second-class geniuses were too important. There was hope for them to become rulers. An Emperor Realm expert could make a force become an overlord force, allowing it to prosper for 10,000 to 20,000 years, compared to a supreme being who knew how many times more important. What these overlord powers hoped for the most was to have a successor. If there was no successor and no new emperor was born, then the overlord power would quickly weaken. For example, the Medicine King Valley and the Talisman Puppet Sect. In the history of the Divine Wilderness, there had been countless overlord factions, but how many of them had been able to prosper and pass down their legacies? Very few. Many overlord forces eventually weakened because there were no emperors among the later generations. One could imagine how highly those overlord forces valued second-class geniuses. In the distance, the few of them sucked in a breath of cold air and broke out in cold sweat. Lu Ming was too ruthless. A second-grade genius was killed just like that. Fortunately, they had the life talisman. Otherwise, the Sky Martial Sword sect would go crazy. Lu Ming glanced at the few of them and ignored them. He returned to the cliff and continued to comprehend the killing move. The World Academy. Outside the Universe Jade Annulus, it was still crowded with people. High up in the sky, the Supreme sat cross-legged and waited silently. Buzz! Suddenly, a white light flashed and Wu Tsang appeared. Everyone's eyes turned to look at him. Wu Tsang, it's Wu Tsang. He was killed. What danger did he encounter? It seems like the secret realm is really dangerous. I wonder how many of those without life talismans died. Danger comes with opportunity. It's worth it if you can get something out of it. Many people looked at Wu Tsang and discussed. Wu Tsang, what happened? High up in the sky, one of the Sky Martial Sword sect's supremes asked. Since the supremes asked, Wu Tsang did not dare to ignore them. A dark-skinned young man. He looked simple and honest, but he was extremely cunning. Wu Tsang did not know Lu Ming's name, so he described Lu Ming's appearance. What? Wasn't this the appearance of that trash Lu Shaoqing? It's him again. He's really a killing god. First, he killed many experts from Cold Blood Hall, Sanguinarum, and now he killed Wu Tsang. He's really terrifying. He killed so many geniuses consecutively. His battle strength is amazing. I'm afraid he's one of the top second-class geniuses. Many people exclaimed. Those from Cold Blood Hall looked gloomy. Sanguinarum gritted his teeth and looked terrible. Why did they have to drag them into it? On the cliff in the Saint Mansion's secret realm, Lu Ming was carefully comprehending. Every time the giant eagle returned, he would leave. The next day, when the giant eagle went out to look for food, he would go and comprehend. After 5 consecutive days, he gained a lot. This mark was not complete. It was just a kind of intent. Lu Ming comprehended 5 killing moves from this intent. Lu Ming named them the 5 killing moves. The 5 killing moves did not have a specific move. It was just a way to use the slaughter essence. In other words, without the slaughter essence, it was useless. However, when Lu Ming borrowed the power of the 3rd bloodline, he could borrow the slaughter essence. Thus, the 5 killing moves came in handy. Previously, when Lu Ming borrowed the power of the 3rd bloodline, it was just pure strength. With the 5 killing moves, it would undoubtedly be more powerful. Almost there. 5 days later, Lu Ming got up and left. This mark was not complete. Even if he continued to comprehend, he would not gain much. Lu Ming left and continued to look for opportunities. One day later, Lu Ming came to a lush mountain range. Hey, why are all the spiritual herbs along the way emptied out? Which bastard did this? Dandin ran around like a gust of wind, cursing. In this mountain range, the spirit chi was very dense. Ancient trees towered into the sky. Along the way, Dandin found dozens of pits left behind by the spiritual herbs. According to Dandin's speculation, they were all left behind by level 8 spiritual herbs. He was angry that someone had gotten to them first. They are too clean. Not even a hair is left. Dandin sighed. Lu Ming was also speechless. They had changed several positions in this mountain range, but it was still the same. There is someone in front. Suddenly, Dandin stared and climbed onto Lu Ming's shoulder. Lu Ming restrained his aura and moved forward carefully. In front of him, a figure in white clothes was walking in the air, flashing in the mountain forest. From the back, he looked very young. However, he was bald, and the top of his head was smooth and round. His movement technique was extremely fast. Like a gust of wind, he appeared in front of a spiritual herb. "My hair, good, good." The bald man murmured and then waved his sleeve. The spiritual herb left the ground and was kept by him. Could it be a Western desert holy monk? Lu Ming was surprised. Legend had it that the Western desert was different from other places. They cultivated Buddhism. The entire Western desert mainly cultivated Buddhism, and there were many ancient temples. Judging from the bald man's clothes and the Buddhist chants, he was clearly a Western desert holy monk. After keeping the spiritual herb, the Western desert holy monk continued forward. Not long after, he came to a dark underground cave and observed carefully. Chapter 1076. In the Western desert holy monk's hand, a round plate emitted a beam of purple light that shot into the sky. It was so shocking that it could be seen even from far away. After a while, the Western desert holy monk put away the round plate and the beam of light disappeared. That was because there were streaks of rainbow light flashing in the distance. Someone was attracted. What is that guy trying to do? Lu Ming was hiding not far away. He had seen everything. The Western desert holy monk put away the round plate and returned to the dark cave. He shouted, "The treasure in this cave is mine." After shouting, his figure flashed and he quickly left the cave. Soon, more than a dozen streaks of rainbow light flew over, revealing more than a dozen figures. "The treasure is in the cave. Kill. We can't let others beat us to it. Get lost. It's mine." More than a dozen experts rushed into the cave. Roar, roar, roar. In the cave, the roars of beasts were heard. The entire ground was shaking as a fierce fight broke out in the cave. That guy is using someone else to do his dirty work. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Didn't they say that the Western desert holy monks were kind-hearted and would help all living beings? That guy was too unreliable. Could he be a fake? "I have hair. I have no hair." "Buddha is merciful." That guy chanted again. In a flash, he didn't enter the cave but went in another direction. That guy is very mysterious. Let's follow him. Lu Ming quietly followed the Western desert holy monk and came to a place dozens of miles away. There was a huge cave in that place. At that moment, Lu Ming heard a loud roar coming from the cave, and then it gradually faded away. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He finally understood that guy's motive. This cave was connected to the other cave dozens of miles away. This guy from the Western desert was using someone else's cave to lure the ferocious beasts away. Then he could easily enter this cave and search for treasures. That wasn't a merciful holy monk. He was clearly an unscrupulous monk. That monk looked around furtively. Only then did Lu Ming see his face. She had a baby face and was slightly chubby. Her skin was so smooth that it would make women jealous. Her skin was pink and tender, and she looked harmless to humans and animals. He looked around. then chanted the name of Buddha and rushed into the cave. This guy is really not a good person. On his shoulder, Dandan looked at him with disdain. Lu Ming curled his lips and thought, "You're about the same as him. There must be treasures in this cave. Let's go in and take a look." Lu Ming also carefully rushed into the cave. The cave was very large. After a few thousand meters, it became even more spacious, like a huge underground cavern. Faint rumbling sounds could be heard from the front. It was clear that the battle was extremely intense. Next, I saw a few pits. There must have been some spiritual herbs growing there, but they were all dug up by that monk. What a pity, Dandan lamented. As the two of them continued forward, they realized that the underground caverns were crisscrossing. They could no longer see the monk's shadow. Lu Ming walked forward casually. Suddenly, he stopped as a purple light attracted his attention. On one of the walls, a hazy purple light was emitted. It was hazy and beautiful. Lu Ming channeled his true yuan and wiped away the rocks on the surface. A longan-sized purple crystal appeared. "This is a purple flame crystal." Lu Ming was shocked, but he was overjoyed. Purple flame crystal was a precious material that was rarely seen in the world. It could be used to refine weapons or pills. It was priceless. Most importantly, purple flame crystal was one of the most important main materials for refining nirvana pills. It was a level 9 material. Lu Ming did not expect to find a purple flame crystal here. He immediately condensed his true yuan into a blade and dug out the surrounding rocks to dig out the purple flame crystal. So heavy, the longan-sized purple flame crystal weighed more than 10,000 kilograms. It was really shocking. I wonder if there are more. After Lu Ming put away the purple flame crystal, he looked around carefully. It would be great if he could find a few pieces here. Although nirvana pills were not very useful to Lu Ming, they were very useful to others. If Fatty Kong Jean had nirvana pills, he could even raise his third bloodline to level 9 divine grade. There were also his parents and disciples. In the future, when he met Xian Yanqing, Mulins, and the others, they would all be very useful. If there was a chance, Lu Ming wanted to collect the materials and refine a few cauldrons. After walking around for a while, Lu Ming discovered something else. There was purple light emitting from one of the walls. Just as Lu Ming was about to dig, a terrifying gust of wind attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. He turned around and threw out a palm strike. Bang! A terrifying force surged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming could not help but take a few steps back. What a powerful force! Lu Ming was secretly shocked. Although he did not release his dragon force earlier, his vital essence was extremely strong, coupled with the 5 types of intense and the hell-suppressing heaven skill. An ordinary martial artist at the 2nd level of spirit god would be killed by him with one palm strike. But now he was forced to retreat. My hair! A Buddhist chant was heard. A harmless face appeared in front of Lu Ming. It was the monk. He looked very young, in his 20s. He squinted his eyes and smiled. He put his palms together and said, "Benefactor, the ferocious beasts in this cave were lured away by my friends. It's not good for you to take advantage of them like this, right?" Even though he was talking, the monk was still smiling. Lu Ming and Dandan looked at him with disdain. Those people were obviously tricked by the monk. But in the monk's mouth, they became his friends. How shameless! Master, everyone has a share. I saw what you did just now. If this spreads out, I'm afraid it won't be good for the reputation of the Western Desert holy monk. Lu Ming said with a smile, "My hair. My Buddha is merciful. I think you've misunderstood. Monks are merciful." The baby-faced monk chanted a Buddhist chant. Roar! Before the monk could finish, a loud roar was heard. A huge lizard shining with purple flames pounced towards the monk. Buzz! A golden light shone from the monk's body. He threw out a palm, and a huge golden palm print hit the purple lizard. With a boom, the lizard was shattered into pieces. Merciful! Lu Ming was tongue-tied. My hair! My Buddha is merciful. The monk chanted a Buddhist chant again. He looked at Lu Ming and said, Benefactor, I've taken a liking to this purple flame crystal. Why don't you give it to me? What if I don't? Lu Ming said, My hair. My Buddha, hair your sister. I know you don't have hair. Lu Ming shouted and suddenly attacked. The dragon force in his body erupted and his strength increased. He threw a punch at Monk Wuliang. Monk Wuliang's body shone brightly. The dazzling golden light spread, making Monk Wuliang look like the reincarnation of Buddha. In addition, he had a harmless face. If Lu Ming had not seen him secretly, he would have thought that he was an enlightened monk. Boom! Chapter 1077. Boom! A terrifying explosion resounded as energy shot out in all directions. The underground cave shook violently. The rock of this underground cave was extremely hard. Perhaps it was because of the strong beasts living here. If it was an ordinary cave, it would have exploded. Even so, the entire underground cave was shaking violently. Bam! Bam! After one move, Lu Ming's body trembled as he retreated a few steps. So strong. This monk's strength is actually so terrifying. Lu Ming was shocked. At this moment, he had already unleashed his dragon force, but he was still pushed back by the other party. The golden palm print was shockingly powerful, as though it could suppress everything. It was on par with the suppressing hell skill. Lu Ming was shocked, and Scrupulous Monk was also surprised. He did not expect Lu Ming to be able to receive his palm without being injured. Roar! Roar! The shaking here attracted the attention of the beasts on the other side. Loud roars could be heard. Clearly, some beasts were charging over. I have hair. Benefactor, you are so strong. This purple flame crystal can be yours. This little monk will take his leave. And Scrupulous Monk chanted Buddha's name and left with his sleeves fluttering. The Western Desert is indeed unfathomable. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Since ancient times, the Western Desert had always been the territory of Buddhism. It had always been mysterious and powerful. Many people said that the Western Desert was second only to the Central Continent among the 5 major territories in the Divine Wilderness. Roar! 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 The thunderous roars caused the underground cave to rumble. Lu Ming did not think too much about it. He dug out the purple flame crystal and left the place in a flash. Next, Lu Ming walked around the underground cave for a while, but he did not find a third purple flame crystal. Instead, he found a few purple giant lizards, which were killed by Lu Ming. However, there was obviously a nest of giant lizards in this underground cave. Some of them were very strong. Lu Ming did not stay for long. After a while, he left the cave and flew into the distance. Hoo-hoo! A gust of wind blew past. Lu Ming smiled. After obtaining 2 purple flame crystals, Lu Ming was in a good mood. There were 7 main ingredients for refining the Nirvana pill. Each of them was extremely precious and rarely appeared in the outside world. Now that he had obtained one, it could be considered an opportunity. Naturally, Lu Ming was in a good mood. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded. Up ahead, sword energy rushed into the heavens. Inscriptions flickered and space was torn apart. There were people fighting an intense battle. Lu Ming flew over at an extremely fast speed. Using the water concept, he condensed a cloud of mist and hid within it to watch. There were a total of 4 people in the battle, and Lu Ming was quite familiar with a few of them. Sandalwood Fairy, Kong Xian, the genius of the World Academy, and Wu Qingkong of the Celestial Martial Sword Sect. Lastly, there was a burly man in his 40s who was no weaker than Wu Qingkong. The 4 of them were in a chaotic battle. However, it was clear that Sandalwood Fairy and Kong Xian were working together. The 2 of them were fighting against Wu Qingkong and the muscular man. The battle was extremely intense. That is, at this time Lu Ming discovered that there was a small lake below. The lake water was clear, and in the lake there were 3 carps swimming around. The 3 carps shone with golden light, and their bodies glowed with light. Sometimes they gathered, sometimes they scattered, and when they did, they looked like a true dragon. Dragon carp, it's actually a dragon carp. Lu Ming was shocked. Dragon carps were also a kind of supreme treasure. It was said that they were the descendants of true dragons and had the blood of true dragons in their bodies. When used to refine elixirs, they were a rare treasure medicine. Its value was even higher than that of purple flame crystals. Coincidentally, one of the 7 main ingredients for refining nirvana elixirs was the blood of dragon carps. You want to compete with me? You're courting death. The dragon carps are mine. Wu Chengkong shouted, his murderous intent surging. Wu Chengkong, don't be too overbearing. There are 3 dragon carps. How about 1 for each of us? Sandalwood Fairy spoke. 1 for each of us. Are you qualified? All 3 of them are mine. Wu Chengkong sneered. His sword energy whistled, and cracks appeared in the space. It was extremely terrifying. The other muscular man did not speak. His body emitted a white light as he waved his hand. A sky-covering palm appeared, tearing the heavens and the earth apart. This is the great, sky-splitting palm. This person should be an expert from the Ji family and overlord force. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Among the 3 parties, Wu Qingkong's combat strength was astonishing. The muscular man from the Ji family had a profound cultivation and was not weak either. However, when Sandalwood Fairy and Kong Xian joined forces, their combat strength was terrifying. They were not weaker than the others. It was difficult to determine the outcome of the battle in a short period of time. Lu Ming smiled. He suddenly unleashed the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and dashed toward the surface of the lake. In an instant, he appeared above the surface of the lake. With a grab, a huge vital essence hand appeared and grabbed toward the 3 dragon carps. Who is it? You're courting death. At this moment, the people in the air were shocked. Wu Chengkong even roared in anger. The 3 dragon carps were about to fall into Lu Ming's hand. However, at this moment, the 3 dragon carps glowed and turned into a ray of light. In a flash, they escaped from Lu Ming's true essence giant hand. Lu Ming was shocked. Just as he was about to use all his strength to capture them, a terrifying sword energy slashed toward Lu Ming. Helpless, Lu Ming could only turn around and punch out. Bang! The sword energy was defeated. Whoosh! Whoosh! In a flash, Wu Qingkong, the brawny man from the Ji family, Sandalwood Fairy, and Kong Xian appeared around Lu Ming. However, they did not attack immediately. Instead, they locked their auras on Lu Ming. Brad, it's you. Wu Chengkong was taken aback when he saw Lu Ming clearly. Sandalwood Fairy and Kong Xian were also surprised. Apparently, they had recognized Lu Ming. Brat, to be able to block my sword attack, you must be quite capable. You must have been hiding your strength. Wu Chengkong looked coldly at Lu Ming and continued. However, you dare to capture dragon carps under my nose. You're going to die. In the Marshal Saint secret ground, everyone has a share. Of course, I can take action when I see the treasure. Lu Ming curled his lips. If you take action, you'll have to pay with your life. Wu Qingkong's killing intent exploded. When Lu Ming had refused to give up his spot in the marrow cleansing pool, he had already wanted to kill Lu Ming. Now, his killing intent was even stronger. Whoosh! Wu Qingkong swung his sword, and a terrifying sword qi slashed at Lu Ming. It was even stronger than before. Lu Ming was fearless. He activated the suppressing hell skill and punched out with his dragon force. Boom! The heavens and the earth trembled as the energy surged. Pillars of water rose from the lake below. The 3 dragon carps flashed and dodged the energy. Bang! The sword qi dissipated. Lu Ming broke the sword qi with his fist. He stepped forward and said in a cold voice, "You're still not strong enough." Then he punched out again. Lu Ming's fist seemed to contain the force of millions of tons. It was so terrifying that the entire space trembled. So strong? Wu Chengkong was shocked. His true essence surged, and his sword hummed as he slashed out a shocking sword chi. However, it was useless. Lu Ming was like an invincible god of war. He punched out and destroyed the sword chi. He quickly approached Wu Qingkong. On the side, Sandalwood Fairy, Kong Xan, and the others were also shocked. They had never imagined that the young man who had passed the Heavenly Market Cave by luck would be so powerful. It was too terrifying. Why do I find this person's fighting style a little familiar? Sandalwood Fairy said. I have the same feeling. Kong Xan said. Whoosh!